podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Network Saturday, August 7th, 2021. This is episode 1817. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by IT Pro TV. With 7 studios and over 5,800 hours of IT training, IT Pro TV creates the perfect environment for you to learn IT. And they're always adding new content. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription when you use the code TWIT30 at checkout. And by Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smart. I'm laughing because I say the same thing every week, and you've probably heard it a few times. I hope you have. If not, welcome. Good to have you. You know, this is a tech show, so we answer your tech questions. We talk about technology topics, that kind of thing. Coming up in a few minutes, about half past the hour, we've got Scott Wilkinson, home theater geek, to talk about big screen TVs and surround sound. Then, in an hour and a half, so halfway through the second hour of the show, Johnny Jett, travel guru, will join us. I'm sure he'll be talking about what's going on with Spirit Airlines. And then, of course, in hour 3, it's the GizWiz, Dick DeBartolo, with his Gadget of the Week. In between then and there, you and me, talking tech. Phone number, if you want to join the show, 8888. Ask Leo your questions. Of course, what makes this show, your comments, your suggestions. If you hear something on the show and you want to keep track of it or remember it, don't worry. Don't be happy. You can go to the website, techguylabs.com, and James DeRuvo, our scribe, is writing it all down as we speak, so it will all be there. So for your perusal. And it's free and there's no sign up, so there's no disadvantage to that. techguylabs.com. Let's see. I guess I should talk about Apple's child safety initiatives, which they announced on Thursday and which got a lot of attention and I think some misunderstanding. So let me explain what Apple's doing. I think a few mainstream media outlets got it completely wrong. And then we could talk about whether it's a good thing or not. And the jury's out on that. Apple has a child safety page you can go to that will explain this and talk about it. But I'll give you the deets. So almost everybody, Facebook, Google, almost everybody is aware of and concerned about something called CSAM, C-S-A-M. Child sexual abuse material. I know, it's unsavory. I don't even want to talk about it, but it exists. And the problem is it can exist in the shadows thanks to the internet and these storage systems. People can share images and videos and stuff of reprehensible, horrible things. So all these companies are concerned about this. And what most of them do now is it's kind of a clever thing, and that's why I'm explaining it, because I think the technology of it is important to understand before you can decide whether you're worried about it or not. There's an organization called the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC. It is a nonprofit. It was started by the U.S. government, it is funded by the U.S. government, but it is not a governmental organization. But one of the things the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children does is maintains a database of known CSAM materials. Turns out the same pictures kind of circulate, all the time. And when they find a new one, they put it in this database. Now, only they can see those images. They are allowed by the government and trusted by the government to kind of keep track of these. But what they do is kind of interesting. They take the image and they process it. They create a cryptographic hash of the image, basically a very long number that reflects that image. And they can be circulated without circulating the image, because nobody wants to circulate that image. The whole point of this is to get these out of the system. This hash system is actually very sophisticated, because even if the image has been cropped, even if the image has been modified, even if the image is turned into a black and white image, it will still show the same fingerprint. Think of it as a fingerprint. The fingerprint will still be there. And it's of that specific image. So if you took a picture, two different pictures of the same thing, one of them is in the database, one of them isn't, only that one in the database will trigger a match. So it's not of the object, it's that image itself. This database Google uses, Facebook uses, and now Apple is going to use. And they're going to do it, I think Apple's trying very hard to do it, protecting your privacy, but that's what's kind of concerned some people, some privacy advocates. What will happen when you get iOS 15, the next version of iOS, which comes out probably almost certainly next month, is you'll get a database which you'll store on your phone, on your device, and I'm going to think this is going to occur on the iPad and probably the Mac as well, but we know it'll happen on iOS 15. And that is the NCMEC database, the bunch of fingerprints. It's not a big file, because it's just fingerprints, which are smaller than the image themselves. And then the Messages app, Messages is encrypted, but before it sends a picture, it will check that picture. It'll create another fingerprint in the same method of that picture and check it against the database. If there's a match, you get a little check. And Apple said, unless there are a number of matches, we don't know what that number is, 1, 3, 5, 10, we don't know. But unless there's a threshold, but once there's enough matches, then a reduced quality, a thumbnail of that image will be sent to Apple for review. If it does indeed match the CSAM, I guess then they're going to notify NCMEC, not the police, not the federal authorities, but NCMEC. NCMEC will probably then notify the police, but that's NCMEC's policy, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. If you are under 13, your parents will be notified, not NCMEC. It's interesting. Your parents will be notified. There's something going on. And then the thing that's a little more controversial is Apple's going to do the same thing against everything in your iCloud photo library. Do you use iCloud Photo? I think most iPhone users do. I've recommended it. It's a good way of backing up your photos, the iCloud photo library. You have to pay for storage after a certain small amount, and most people do. Apple will do the same thing to every image there. Every image there. And if you cross the threshold, the secret sharing threshold, then NCMEC will be notified. So that's basically how this works. Apple's doing this in a way they feel it protects privacy. They're making a big announcement so everybody knows this is going to happen. Not right away. It's going to happen in next month or thereabouts. I think on the face of it, this seems like a reasonable plan. And it is, by the way, something similar to what Facebook and others are doing. The Electronic Frontier Foundation and others many privacy advocates are saying, well, I'll give you the headline from the Electronic Frontier Foundation. This is a nonprofit that fights for freedom on the internet. Apple's plan to think different about encryption opens a back door to your private life. Wow. To say that we are disappointed, they write, by Apple's plan is an understatement. Apple's historically been a champion of end-to-end encryption. And for all the same reasons we've talked about time and time again, Apple's compromise may appease government agencies, and that's the question: is why did Apple start doing this? Was it by a request? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if Apple just said, we ought to do this. It's the right thing to do. May appease government agencies in the U.S. and abroad, but it's a shocking about face for users who have relied on the company's leadership in privacy and security. Now, I've described how this works, and as far as I'm concerned, it protects your privacy unless you have this CSAM on your iCloud drive or you're sending a certain number of these through the messaging program. I don't really have a problem with that. Do you? I think this is okay. EFF's problem and privacy advocates' problem is a slippery slope. They're opening the door to broader abuses. I don't think anybody thinks, well, this is a terrible idea. No, but they're worried that it's the beginning of Apple caving to federal agencies in other ways. 8888 Ask Leo. That's something we could talk about. You could see the controversy. Of course, by Apple announcing this, if you were a creep sharing this stuff, you'd probably just stop using an iPhone, right? I imagine the next step will be Google doing this on Android. I think that's probably likely. And of course, if you're a creep or you're just worried that Apple's like somehow snooping on your stuff, which they're not, again, they're just making this fingerprint of your images and then comparing that fingerprint to a fingerprint in a database of known CSAM content. Nobody's seeing it, your images. Doesn't need to, the computer's just churning on them and creating a fingerprint. But if you're concerned about that, you can turn off iCloud Photo. There's other choices. Although I suspect Google Photos is probably already doing this. I'll have to look and see. I know Google and Facebook in some of their storage systems, probably Google Drive is doing this, which means your photos probably are doing it as well. But maybe there's somebody else you could go to. Or maybe you just don't use iCloud if you don't worry, if you don't like the privacy. What do you think? I don't know. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. She's on the telephone line, ladies and gentlemen. The unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer, our phone angel. I like this. I like this. Hi, Kimmy. You're in a new spot.
No radio transmitter, just a brick wall.
Put you in front of a brick wall and a large, camera? I don't know, old-fashioned projector, I think. Oh, okay. That's a weird device. I don't know. Do we use that? That's interesting.
I'm sure you don't use it.
It's an antique.
I think it sits on the shelf.
Antique. So, how you doing?
All right. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
So
somebody pointed out to me they couldn't sleep. Apparently, we called Yellowstone Yosemite the whole conversation last week.
Did we really? Because I know I have that propensity, but I thought I corrected myself.
Nope. You started out with Yosemite, and I think I just went along with it.
It's Yellowstone.
It's Yellowstone. So whoever wrote me, you can sleep now.
If you've been looking for a TV show on Peacock called Yosemite,
it's
not there. You know what I found out? There's going to be a prequel they're going to make.
Tim McGraw and Faith Hill are in it.
Yeah.
That's exciting to me.
And of course, Sam Elliott. Yeah. Sometimes you eat the bar and sometimes the bar eats you. Should we take a phone call?
Sure. Let's go to Virginia Beach, Virginia. And Charles on line 2.
I'd love to. How fun is that? Thank you, Kim. Hi, Charles. Leo Laporte, the tech.
Good morning there, Leo. I had some rain I can send your way to take care of.
Oh, we need you. We're in such a drought, and there's fires already, and send us rain, please.
I will be more than glad to.
Thank you, sir.
So, I had an old school tech question, maybe-ish, that I've been racking my brains trying to solve. And I hope that you can point me in the right direction. I have a really old, about 20-year-old Sony digital camera that's I'm trying to get some video off the Hi8 tapes.
Okay.
Back a few years here.
Okay.
And I've been trying. It did not come with it looks like it's a DV in out. Like it's the old iLink connector for getting stuff out, and try and find somewhere that has it. And I guess it had them online, but I can't find anything in the stores. Would I be safe if I use like one of these online cables to connect up to my computer? Because I don't know what else.
So you have the camera, and on the camera is an iLink, which is Sony's name for FireWire. But it's IEEE 1394, aka FireWire, aka iLink. It's all the same thing. So any iLink cable is a standard FireWire cable. Here's the problem. You probably don't have a FireWire capable computer. If you do, you're golden. Do you?
I don't think I do.
No, because it's unfortunately this technology. I mean, look at High 8 is also old technology, right? We're living in what I can't remember, probably the 2000s. So in those days, a lot of computers had FireWire ports. All Apple computers did, and many PCs did. So now you need to get a iLink to something else, and probably what you'd ideally, if you have a late model computer, that'd be Thunderbolt. And the reason is FireWire iLink is very fast compared to USB. So a USB port is not going to be, well, maybe USB 3 will be. So you need a modern USB port. So either USB 3, 3.1, or even faster, the 40 gigabit per second Thunderbolt 3. It's easy to find, well, not easy, but relatively easy to find Thunderbolt 3 to iLink cables. So that would work just fine. So if you found the right cable, I probably wouldn't want to use iLink to USB 2 because USB 2 is so slow. Anything below 3 is probably going to be too slow. 3, I think, is fast enough. It's about as fast as FireWire was. And at that point, all you need is some software on your computer that's smart enough to say, oh, I see a video signal coming in on this Thunderbolt 3 or USB 3, and I'm going to convert it and edit it and save it and all that stuff. So the right software. What kind of computer are you connecting to?
Well, I'm kind of both in the Windows and Apple world. So I've got a Mac Mini 2018 plus a
Perfect.
older.
The Mini would be the easiest because the Mini has that Thunderbolt connector. And so Thunderbolt and FireWire are much more similar than Thunderbolt and USB, or rather FireWire and USB. So you connect the iLink cable, and then it'll turn into Thunderbolt, which you'll plug into your Mini. And then it's going to be simple. There are a lot of, I bet you, I'm not sure, but I bet you iMovie, which comes with the Mac, will see that. And they'll say, oh, there's in fact, I know it will. There's a camera. And then you just play back on your High 8 recorder and record into iMovie, and you got it. At that point, you've got an MPEG 4. I would recommend MPEG 5 for best quality. Actually, MPEG 4 is probably sufficient for High 8. So MPEG 4, and that's the most compatible with everything. And once you've got that, you can burn it to DVD. You can do anything you want with it.
Okay, well, that's good then. So even with the 2018 Mac Mini, I'll still work just fine, I guess.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not out of date. Yeah. I know Apple would like you to think so, but no, that's perfect. Thunderbolt I'll just put a link in here from Sony that explains how to do it. Put that on the show notes. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, 1394 was 400 megabits, but it was 400 megabits peer-to-peer. So that's kind of the difference there. USB is not peer-to-peer; it's client-server. So 400 megabits. It might have been 800. I think the slowest you'd want to go is USB 3. Fortunately, with that Mac Mini, he can go Thunderbolt 3, and he's golden. It's golden. Oh, you already shared that Sony URL? Okay. So, yes. Sony explains the whole thing. Yeah. I see you shared that earlier, Scooter X. Good man. Now, let's see how Scott Wilkinsonian is doing. Inventor of the Wilkinson sword blade.
Oh, man.
If you only had that money, huh?
I wouldn't have a beard, that's for sure.
There's still one of the big three is Gillette, Schick, and Wilkinson.
I think so.
Yeah. So, but that's not that's not your family, huh?
Sadly not. If it were, like I say, I wouldn't have a beard. And I'd have a lot more money.
I remember those ads for the Wilkinson sword blade.
I do too.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny when I mention that to anybody under a certain age, they go,
nobody.
What?
Yeah. But they own they bought one of the I remember, I think they bought, it wasn't Dollar Shave Club. I think they bought Harry's or vice versa, but they own They own one of the big new
right.
So Wilkinson was bought by Pfizer, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Along with Schick. And then Energizer bought Schick and Wilkinson's sword.
Uh-huh.
And they then spun it out to the Edgewell Personal Care, and now Wilkinson and Schick are the same. Edgewell. Wilkinson's sword is used in Europe. Schick is used everywhere else. I didn't realize this. Look at this.
I didn't either.
Yeah. And, yeah. Huh. And in India, except in India, where Gillette owns the Wilkinson sword brand. How confusing is that?
Terrible.
So I guess I actually, in Mad Men Season 7, Part 2 premiere, Don has a dream in wherein Rachel auditions for an ad campaign and shows how smooth her legs are, and he tells her, "You're not just smooth, you're Wilkinson smooth." So that is now your slogan.
Oh, man.
I'm going to make that your slogan. He's not just smooth. He's Wilkinson smooth. All right, and where was I? Oh, yes.
Oh, man. That's hilarious.
Ziggy,
I did.
Introduce me to Samuel L. Jackson.
By the way, to wake me up, you can use my custom wake word. Hey, Samuel. So, do you want me to set that up for you on this device?
Yes. Yes. Yo. I guess Samuel doesn't understand me. Hey, Samuel. Hey, Samuel. Well, now it's just gone dead. All right. I guess it's Melissa. I didn't realize I can have Melissa, Samuel, and Ziggy. This week, the Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Advance or launch your IT career in a fun and creative way with IT Pro TV, the best online source for IT education. They're edutainers. That's what they call them. Make learning IT interesting and fun. They're more than just entertainers. They're edutainers. They're actually experts in their IT arena, but they're also really good at sharing their excitement, their passion, and their knowledge with you. So it's fun to watch. IT Pro TV provides the most up-to-date information while preparing you for the exams that give you the certs employers are looking for in their future IT employees. It's the best way to, in fact, really in some cases, the only way to get that first IT job. But once you've become an IT professional, you want to keep your certs up to date. IT Pro TV is great for that, too. They're recording all the time. 7 studios operating every day, all day, cranking out new content because the tests change, the content changes, there's new versions of software. Right now, they've got 5,800 hours of up-to-date IT training on demand, and they're always adding new content. You can watch them do it live. You can watch on demand. It's easy to digest. Courses are divided into 20 to 30-minute episodes. By the way, IT Pro TV is the official video training partner for CompTIA. CompTIA's certs are I think the most in demand for, especially for entry level, the CompTIA Fundamentals Plus, the A Plus, Security Plus. Those are really good certs to get when you're first starting out. Actually, really, they're good certs to have no matter what part of IT you're working in. IT Pro TV's courses are live and on demand worldwide. You can watch them any way you want on Chromecast, on Roku. Yeah, they have an app. They have an Apple TV app. Of course, you can watch on your computer or on their iOS and Android apps. You can learn anytime from the comfort of your home at your own schedule. A lot of people who want to get in IT have day jobs. They continue those day jobs, study at night at their convenience on the weekends, and it doesn't take very long before you're ready to go as an IT pro. Coming up, a big weekend next weekend, their free weekend, all weekend, August 14th and 15th. These courses will be free, a great opportunity for anyone new to IT. or just somebody wants to take, a test drive of IT Pro TV, CompTIA's IT Fundamentals Plus, Linux Essentials, Microsoft 365 Fundamentals. These are all free, these courses. Apple Certified Support Professional, Mac OS Support Essentials 1013, Hands-on PC Build, Cisco CCT Routing and Switching, that's 100-490. This is a great way to get a sense of what IT Pro TV's like. I think you're going to love them, and they're free. Also, they got these free webinars. They're due every month. Check out their webinar about the new CompTIA apprenticeship program. You'll find that at itpro.tv/webinars. It really is a one-stop shop for anybody interested in IT, whether you're working in it or want to be working in it. And if you're an organization, IT Pro TV has training for your team, too. This is the best time to check out IT Pro TV. Get certified in Apple, security skills, Python, Cisco. I go on and on. I mean, basically everything in IT. Here's the deal. Go to itpro.tv/twit. Use the code TWIT30, TWIT30 at checkout. That'll give you 30% off, and not just for a while, but for as long as you stay active. Basically forever. And that's on all consumer subscriptions. 30% off. Go to itpro.tv/twit. Offer code TWIT30 for an additional 30% off for the lifetime of your active subscription. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. IT Pro TV. Now, back to the tech guy. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. He's not just smooth. He's Wilkinson smooth. Scott Wilkinson, home theater geek, contributor at Tech Hive, and our smooth tech home theater guru. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks.
So what's up in the world of...
Oh, I've got something super hip for you today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Do you think you know?
Yes.
I went to a demo this past week, put on by Intel, and they were showing footage from the Olympics in 8K, nice. 60 frames per second, HDR, streamed live over the public internet.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's one of those demos, though, where you think, well, of course, it's Intel. They've got a 10 gigabit connection.
Nope.
No?
Nope. They were using open cloud service. They wouldn't say which one, but it was either AWS or Microsoft Azure or
somebody,
Google Cloud, somebody.
Or Akamai, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody. But they were streaming 8K, 60 frames per second, HDR, at 100 megabits per second.
No. So
yes.
Clearly what they were showing off is some sort of fancy Dan new compression algorithm.
Well, it wasn't. No, it was not new compression. It was HEVC, which is standard compression. They were doing it in real time. Dig this. They were compressing that file, which came off the camera at 48 gigabits per second.
Holy cow. Holy cow.
And they were compressing it in real time on a very high-powered computer server with 4 Intel Xeon loop-de-doo processors.
Loop-de-doos? Oh, nice. That's the top of the line. I wish they would. I wish they would reduce Intel's loop-de-doo processors. Now with high thingamajiggy for extra flavor. So, and what kind of screen were you looking at it on?
I was looking at a 75-inch 8K screen, a normal TV. They wouldn't say who made the TV. They had a piece of tape covering.
Yeah, because they're not giving plugs to anybody besides Intel.
Correct.
Yeah.
But they encoded it from 48 gigabits per second down to 100 megabits per second.
Wow.
Sent it to the open cloud. It's on the public internet, and they pointed we were in Los Angeles at the Skirball Cultural Center, and which has a gigabit Ethernet connection. Okay, so they've got access fiber Ethernet to this.
Yeah, but gigabit's
facility.
not unusual nowadays. I think
Not these days.
More and more
Correct.
homeowners. I just got gigabit about a year ago. So
Right.
that's not unheard of, but it didn't even
No.
need the gigabit. It only needed
didn't.
100 megabits.
Well, they said what you really need is like 250
Yeah.
to get this reliably.
Yeah.
Okay. So I asked him, okay, so can I get this at home? I've got 200. I got 250 anyway. I will soon have gigabit.
Yeah.
He said, well, there aren't any providers in the U.S.
That's the
that
problem.
are carrying it. Now, he did say that Globo TV in Brazil just signed a partnership agreement, and anybody with Globo TV in Brazil can actually get this.
That's
this
really
stream.
cool. Yeah. So what's going on? And Intel's showing off their Xeon processors. I mean, that's what's really going on. I'm looking at your article, by the way, at TechHive.com.
Yes, I wrote an article at TechHive about this and with all the details.
And not to downplay the efficiency of HEVC. That's the high efficiency video codec, or it's sometimes called MPEG-5. That is a very high quality codec. That's a massive improvement. So I understand that, and it's doing it in HDR too. Yep. Nice.
They were using the format of HDR called HLG, hybrid log gamma, but they could also use HDR10 or even Dolby Vision for that matter.
Yeah, just convert it, right?
Just convert it.
Take the log file. And you said high frame rate too.
60 frames per second.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So that's twice normal. And that should be
twice normal video.
Yeah, for action, I think it helps, doesn't it?
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
We were looking, they showed, when I was there, it was, like 4 a.m. in Tokyo. So it wasn't actually live, but they were showing footage that they were converting or compressing and coding in real time.
Now, to put a little perspective on this, they were using 4 Intel 8380H processors. That's a total of 112 cores working.
Correct. For the encode. For the
encode, yeah. I mean, because they had to do it in real time. If you didn't have to do it in real time, you wouldn't have to be.
You wouldn't have to be that powerful.
300. I'm reading from your article. 384 gigs of RAM. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a lot. Interestingly, it was running Ubuntu Linux. And it's running on Optane SSDs, which are the fastest solid-state disks ever. So that's
at
really
the encoding end, they were very high end. But look at the decode end. The end that was at the Skirball Center was, I think, a more normal kind of computer. It was a single Xeon processor.
What's funny is they're doing it via Wi-Fi, which blows me away.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, Windows 10 PC using Wi-Fi 6E, which is the newest version of Wi-Fi.
Yep.
Then they had a pretty hefty PC. This was a 18-core Xeon with 64 gigs of RAM.
Yep.
But still, all of this stuff is, and it's a 3080 RTX. So all of this stuff is, state of the art, but not out of reach, not insane.
No. Correct. It was a technology demo to show, hey, this is happening now. We can do this now. It
must have looked amazing.
It was amazing.
What event were you watching?
Well, they saw it. We had clips from several different things. We had the 100-meter men's 100-meter sprint. We had the men's and women's 50-meter freestyle swimming.
So the reason I ask is something like the sprint. There's a lot of motion.
Yes,
and that would be blurred in most
sharp
streams.
As attack.
Oh, that's
sharp
really cool.
as attack.
Oh, did you feel like you were there, like you were looking at it through a window?
Yeah, absolutely. And the HDR was actually pretty good too. There's hardly anybody in the stands, which is really kind of weird. But so in the running arena, there was light on the lower portions of the stands and not much light on the upper portions, and yet you could still see all the seats in the upper portions, the darkened portions of the stands. And when there's a picture, I have a picture in there in that article where there's an inset of a recap footage of the guys running. And in my picture, it looks blown out. It did not look blown out on that screen.
Interesting.
It's just the limitation of my camera. So
the screen did a better job than your camera did. Whoops.
Correct.
Logged out of my computer there.
Boy, man, when the swimming, when they're splashing the water and the little water droplets, I mean, they're all crystal clear. So it was really impressive.
Now, I have to say, the Olympics seems like every 4 years seems to be a product showcase. Last year was the product showcase for 4K. And clearly this year it's for 8K. And 4K now, I've been watching the Olympics in 4K HDR on YouTube TV, and it's great. So it's not impossible to think.
It's not 60 hertz.
No. I'm just saying it's not impossible to think that in 3 years at the next Olympics, it might be 60 hertz, 8K.
It might very well be. It might very well be because you can buy an 8K TV now, no problem. There's bunches of them.
Amazing. Read about it. Scott's article's at techhive.com, and he joins us every week to talk home theater. Thank you, Scott. That was smooth.
My pleasure.
Smooth. Yeah, Mike Heiss is saying it's sort of the same as a gaming PC, and I would say yes. It is 18 cores.
The
decoder, 18 core Xeon, but 64 gigs of RAM is not unheard of. So, and a 3080. I have a similar computer, not quite so many cores. It's really interesting. Did you hear a fan on the PC?
I did not, but it was in a room. There were people there.
Yeah.
I wasn't right up.
What I would have done is walked over to the stand next to the PC. Let me hear
done that. Let me. How's that fan?
Yeah,
doing?
I mean that's going to be the issue, and Intel's not going to want you to do that because that's going to be the issue with that Xeon. I think.
That's a good point. Yeah. I didn't even think about it. They did not want us walking around behind the TV to discover what brand of TV it was.
Oh, that's not important, really.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a 75-inch, undoubtedly an LCD, FALD.
Yeah.
TV from one of the. They said it's from one of the big makers, so it's either Sony or Samsung.
Yeah. How much are 8K TVs now?
Oh, a 75-inch, probably $3,000.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not bad.
Really? You're kidding me.
Yeah, no.
So really the issue isn't TV at this point.
No.
The issue is really
the content creator
coding.
and provider.
Yeah.
It's will the content creators and providers produce 8K, create 8K HDR, 60 frames second.
They're not actually producing 4K, right? They're upscaling 1080 or
in the Olympics. That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
So we still got a ways to go there.
Yeah. The cameras are certainly there. The TVs are certainly there. The computers are now there. It's a high-end computer, admittedly.
Scooter X has found the Sony Z8H for $4,000. 75-inch, yeah.
Okay.
At Best Buy.
There you go, $4,000.
Powered by the X1 Ultimate processor, which is not nearly enough horsepower to do this. That's the thing.
Well, no, yeah.
The decoder is a $5,000 PC.
Right. Yeah, no, you wouldn't want to stream it from one of the TV's internal apps.
No, you couldn't.
That wouldn't work.
No.
You couldn't. It wouldn't work.
Or a Roku or Apple TV. I mean, seriously, the computer I have that's not quite as many cores as that one was almost $5,000. So this is not cheap.
No. But it's not inaccessible either.
Yeah, and the point is over time.
And it's only going to get better.
Over time.
It's only going to get.
Yeah,
exactly. The whole point of this demo was as, a demonstration that, look, we can do this.
Right.
And it's getting very close to the point where consumers will be able to do it too.
It's getting to the point where consumers can do it too. I'm sorry. Oh, Lord. Can you stick around for the top of the hour?
Sure can.
Do you get tempted when you go to the Skirball Center to call it the Screwball Center? Or is it just me?
No, I know. I never do.
No, I'm tempted.
Now you've planted that seed in my mind.
I'm sorry.
I never even thought about it.
You never even thought about it.
I never did.
You're just used to it. You Angelinos.
Yeah, it's a normal part of stuff here.
Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Professor Laura back in the saddle, spinning the hits. Our musical director, Ron, on the line from KC. Hello, Ron.
Good afternoon, Leo. How are you?
Wait a minute. You're in Kansas City, Kansas. Do they call that KC as well?
They're both called KC. Actually, it's kind of like one big city. You just got to pay attention where you're at.
Got it. KC is KC. Got it.
Pretty much. Home of the Chiefs.
Yes. You get to own them too. Good. Nice football team. Football's back, by the way. I watched a game on Thursday. Wow. Missed you guys.
Yep. A couple more weeks.
Couple more weeks. We're getting there. What can I do for you, Ron?
Well, I have one main question and maybe a quick one for you and Scott. Our first question is, I'm having issues with T-Mobile, and I'm thinking about switching to Google Fi or whatever.
Yeah.
But I run an iPhone.
So Fi will work on an iPhone, but guess what? You'll be using T-Mobile.
So see, that was my question.
Yeah, so Google Fi, when used on a Google Fi compatible phone, and that is more than just the Pixels now from Google. Samsungs will do it. Some Motorola's will do it. Will switch automatically between 3 different carriers, although now that T-Mobile owns Sprint, that may be less valuable. But it was T-Mobile, Sprint, and U.S. Cellular, or Wi-Fi. And it'll do it kind of seamlessly on a call. So you can be at home on a Wi-Fi call, go out of the house, and I've done this, and it switches over and it says, what's the strongest signal here? Well, we're going to use T-Mobile. And then you drive down the road a piece and it sees that Sprint is suddenly getting strong and it'll switch over, and you won't even know. You'd have to use a special app to see the difference. That you won't get on the iPhone. It'll only be switching between Wi-Fi and T-Mobile. So if you're unhappy with T-Mobile, Google Fi, well, it depends what you're unhappy with. If you're unhappy with the pricing, Google Fi will simplify that.
I'm unhappy with the rate of transmission. It just doesn't.
Yeah, that's going to be the same.
Like one dot.
That's going to be the same. In fact, it might even be worse. Google's what we call an MVNO of T-Mobile, Mobile Virtual Network Operator. That means they buy wholesale bandwidth from T-Mobile. There are a lot of MVNOs out there. And generally, I don't know what Google's deal is, but generally the MVNOs are on the same towers with the same bandwidth unless a higher paying T-Mobile customer needs that bandwidth. So if you're suddenly on a T-Mobile tower where you got, they're running out of bandwidth for the full bore T-Mobile customers, then the MVNO may be downshifted in speed. So
it can get worse.
Yeah, it might actually get worse. You're a second-class citizen compared to a T-Mobile customer because they're paying more, frankly. So that's usually doesn't happen. By the way, I have T-Mobile on my iPhone and I have Google Fi on my Pixel phone, and it doesn't make any difference. It's they're both about the same. So, but yeah, if you're unhappy with the bandwidth on T-Mobile, you're not going to be happy.
So I need to look for an MVNO from Verizon in my area.
Yeah, or Verizon itself, although Verizon's pretty pricey.
Yeah, they're pretty proud of their stuff.
Yeah. So Straight Talk, if you go to Walmart, they actually an MVNO for all the companies, all 3 companies, AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint, T-Mobile. So it'll say on the phone which carrier you'll be using.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a variety of them. And Verizon has its own, in a way, MVNO called Visible. And Visible is for the modern world where people do less phone calling and a lot more data stuff.
Okay.
So you may...
like me.
Yeah, pretty much everybody nowadays. I hardly ever use my phone. I would never use up a package of minutes in a month. But I use a lot of data. A lot of data.
Okay, and that's called invisible or visible?
Visible. V-I-S-I. There's no I, but it is pronounced visible. If you look for visible.com, that's where it is. And it's Verizon's service, Verizon connectivity, but it's a lot less expensive than Verizon. So that's probably the one to go with.
Okay, well, I'll check that out then.
And you can use that on an iPhone, but you have to have an iPhone that's compatible with Verizon, which all of them are. I actually don't think you'd have any trouble putting a Verizon SIM in there or a visible SIM.
I think all of the phones in the family are X's and above, so that'd be fine.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, a second quick question while you and Scott are there. Could you explain this E-ARC for a TV and stereo, how we're supposed to hook that up?
Scott Wilkinson, I'm calling on you. I've heard of ARC.
What I mean by that is like...
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. I've heard of ARC, the audio return channel. It's an HDMI port that sends audio back from the TV. What's E-ARC, though, Scott?
E-ARC is enhanced.
Even better.
It's even better. It's enhanced.
It's ARC Plus. What's the enhancement? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I'd have to look that up.
It's just ARC.
Forgotten.
Let's just say it's ARC.
Let's say it's ARC.
So,
it has a few extra bells and whistles. I'd have to look up to see what they are. Mike Heiss in the chat room might be able to tell us by the time we're done here. But basically, what you're doing is you're
TV and then back out, or
no?
Well.
It's on smart TVs that generate their own content. So if you have Netflix on your TV, you're seeing the picture from the TV's Netflix app, but the sound is not coming into whatever you're playing it back with. It has to get it out of the TV. So it's really for people who use AV receivers, or
sound bars. Many sound bars use it as well.
Yeah.
So basically, you're getting the sound from the TV, either from its internal app or even from its internal tuner, over-the-air tuner, back out the HDMI cable that's giving it video from other sources, sending that audio back.
That's why I say it's an AV receiver, because the soundbar doesn't do that. So, soundbars have inputs? No, they just have
some do.
You could put a Roku in your soundbar.
Yep.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, never mind then. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Absolutely.
So it's really an AV receiver plus a speaker.
Correct.
More so, I was thinking about using the newer Apple TV with the old school HomePods and running my sound out that way, because I like the way it sounds, but I can use the smart apps on my TV to not just use Apple TV then.
No.
Correct.
Well, the problem is Apple TV doesn't do ARC.
No, I thought the new one did.
Oh, okay. So, yes, you're right. So if you have the very latest Apple TV, they now have ARC. And then you can play audio through your HomePod.
Yep.
So if you just bought a new Apple TV to go with your HomePods, yes. And that will work with ARC or E-ARC. In fact, I'm looking at the Apple support page for that. So I'll put that.
It must be E-ARC by now.
It's either one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an Apple. Yeah, that's something new but you have to have the second generation, the brand new one. They just announced Apple 4K Apple TV.
Okay.
Oh, boy, that's a complicated way around the acronym soup. I think we've solved it.
Yeah. Oh, Mike Heiss tells me that the E-ARC will let you do full bitstream Atmos.
Full bitstream Atmos,
which regular ARC won't.
Okay. So if
a little bit of an enhancement.
You need an Atmos enabled sound bar or receiver for that to work. Okay.
Correct. Okay. To take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Yep. It's always something.
Thank you, Scott. And I'm glad actually you asked about that, Ron. I have to say I learn as much from this show as everybody else does. I will add that to my database of little used knowledge. What is E-ARC? Now we know. I learned something today. Thank you,
Indeed.
Scott Wilkinson. Soundbars sometimes use ARC.
That's right.
Most of the time when you have a soundbar, you connect it. I guess you can connect with HDMI. I always connect with optical. But
optical is the more common.
And the audio source is almost always the TV. The soundbar is an extension of your TV speaker.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. But let's see. Is it the Monoprice I just tried? I'm going to talk in a couple of weeks about this new Monoprice soundbar, and I'm pretty sure it's got.
Interesting.
two HDMI inputs.
That makes sense, because then if you had like a Roku stick or a Chrome stick or something,
Chromecast,
you just plug it in, and that's simple and easy. So that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yep.
So you would need
somebody in the
two-way HDMI for that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody in the chat room posted a link to a Sony article. The big difference between E-ARC and ARC is just bandwidth and what it can carry.
That makes sense.
And Atmos is one of the things that
can carry. Do you need HDMI 1.2 to use E-ARC?
2.0. No, 2.0 will be fine.
Okay. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. This
go get a cup
crew
of coffee.
is yours, my friend.
Thank you so much. By the way, I looked up while we were waiting here. TCL 8K just announced recently that their Series 6, or 6 Series, I guess they call it, that will now include 8K versions, and the 75-inch 8K TCL Series 6, $3,000. The 65-inch at $2,200. So I was right. $3,000 for an 8K TV. The Sony one is $4,000. Okay, so we're not talking chump change here, but we are talking not out of the realm of possibility for many people. So the TVs are there, the cameras are there, Intel processing is there. As Leo pointed out, you need a pretty high-end computer to decode 8K 60 HDR at the moment. But as we all know, digital technology gets faster and cheaper almost by the day. And so we're going to see that become commonly available very soon. And also, by the way, I looked up some of the other stats for the demo that I saw. The CPU was operating at about 40% of its maximum capability. They were only using 12% of the memory, like 8 gigabytes out of 64. And the GPU, the NVIDIA RTX 3080, was operating at 32%. And what it was doing was rendering out the video. And it was only operating at 32% of its bandwidth. So the system was not being strained at all. In fact, it was kind of cruising along in cruise control. So that was quite amazing. Joe says, have I tried the AirPods Max? No, I haven't. I just, Apple, well, I guess they do. I don't know. I've never had Apple send me a review product before. I don't know. I don't know whether they sound that good for a pair of wireless cans. I've got my favorite wireless cans for the affordable variety. I really like Clear, CLEER. Their Flow 2 is excellent wireless headphones, over-the-ear headphones, that is. The only problem I have with them is that the ear pads are a little small for my ears, but they should be fine for people with smaller ears. Twisted Mister, yesterday's $2,000 Sony ES HD Blu-ray player is today's $99 Walmart special. Yeah, exactly. That was the point I was trying to make earlier. So by next Summer Olympics, 3 years from now, presumably, this should be easy and available and affordable. Quite amazing. And you're right, Out of Sync. Decoding is a lot easier than encoding. That is true. But, the content providers always spend more money than consumers to get the content out. And even that's going to get less expensive. I mean, 8K cameras, a few years ago, you couldn't buy one. And when they first came out, they were probably tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now they're much less. So even the professional stuff gets cheaper over time and quickly. Out of Sync wonders why they didn't use one of the Intel XEZ processor GPUs. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Yeah, Mike Heiss, good question. Wonder if for the 2022 Winter Olympics, wonder if NBC will use ATSC 3.0 for over-the-air 8K. I know ATSC 3.0 can theoretically carry 8K, but is anybody even doing that or trying to work on that? I thought 4K was kind of the standard for over the air. I didn't know about 8K. I just don't think it's going to be. Yeah, 8K snow should be nice. Agreed. Scooter X, the Winter Olympics are only 6 months away. It's true. Now, things happen fast in the tech world, but maybe not quite that fast.
They're not a year and 6 months away, aren't they, in 2022?
Well, yeah.
I believe you're wrong, Scooter X. I believe you're wrong. But isn't it like...
Winter of 2022 is 6 months away.
Oh, I guess, yeah. But I mean, well, it depends if you mean December or January. Oh, it's February 2022. Okay.
Well, yeah, okay. So maybe 8 months.
It's supposed to be 2 months. It's supposed to be every 2 years, right? Yeah, I know we're a year late.
I know. This has been so weird because the Tokyo Olympics are the 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
No, that's confusing.
Occurring in 2021.
Great Scott! Get in the car, Marty!
Indeed. Yes, the 2020 Olympics this year. That's what my opening paragraph in my piece on Tech Hive was, this was the year of many firsts for the Olympics. First time the year on all the signage didn't match the year it was actually happening. First year there were no fans in the stands virtually.
Well, maybe the first Olympics in Greece, there were no fans because everyone was running. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose that could be.
Hey, guys, let's all run the marathon and see what happens. I don't know why the Greeks talk like Austrians. That's not clear. That's not clear.
Not at all clear. Yeah, somebody.
NBC spent $7.4 billion. Billion for Olympic rights. I don't know if that includes winter or just summer.
I don't know. And I've seen a couple of stories that that they've been losing their shirt on it.
Good
viewership.
That's why they run. There was no viewers. They rent ads like nonstop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right, Scotty.
Here we go. See you next week.
Have a great one.
You too.
Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, Olympic television shows, all of that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you want to ask a question, make a comment, make a suggestion. I'm here for you. That's my job. 8888 Ask Leo. Back to the phones we go. David's on the line from Hollywood. Hello, David.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I shut my computer off, so we're okay? There's no interference or anything?
Sounds fine. What can I do for you?
Yes, sir. Okay. I've had Metro PCS for, 3 years, give or take a couple months, and I haven't had any problems till maybe 6 or 7 months ago. I have two phones, both Samsung Galaxy J7, and the last 6 months, it was driving me crazy because a lot of the apps, like the iHeart app and whatnot, they would either it would buffer for a long time and it would play, buffer, sometimes it would crash. So, it would just drive me nuts. And I don't really watch TV. I'm hooked on iHeart. I love KFI. I listen to KFI.
Yeah.
I love KFI. I listen to it all the time.
All right.
You mess with my KFI. You can't be messing with my KFI.
Don't mess with my KFI, man.
Don't mess with my KFI.
Good. Anyway, we need more. I'll tell you what. I wish everybody were like you. You're right. Radio's a great deal. Free radio. It'll keep you company. Gives you emergency information. Keeps you up to date on what's going on in the world. Entertains. Amuses. Yeah. It's a great thing. I agree with you. So the problem is a bandwidth issue. Metro PCS is a T-Mobile company. So you're on the T-Mobile network. It is the case that when... Go ahead.
Okay. I did an experiment, though. Experiment.
Okay.
Okay. So I had two phones, right? And I said, okay, let me try Verizon for a month with the other phone. And I had the same problem. So within 2 weeks, I kept one phone on Metro, and I tried one phone with Verizon, and I still had the same problem. So I went back. I'm back on Metro again, and I bought a new phone. So go ahead, tell me what you're going to say.
Oh, I don't know. You actually you've thrown a monkey wrench in the equation. It may be in Hollywood that which would be weird, but it all comes down to the proximity of the cell phone towers and the number of people using it. And the thing about Metro versus T-Mobile is it's T-Mobile's second tier. So I could see how you might not be getting the best performance. Are both phones Samsung J series phones?
Yeah, they were until I upgraded one phone. And my question really comes down to is have you heard that people you break it, we fix it. I went to them for the phones, and the phones were okay, but some guys, anyways, I bought a new phone. I bought a Samsung A32 5G. And my question now is,
are you getting 5G, by the way? Do you see 5G on your bar?
I see off and on.
So what I think you need to do is go to the phone store and get a new SIM. So one thing that has happened, and I think this is probably related to it. The Verizon thing, I'm not sure. It may just be Verizon wasn't strong in your neighborhood or that. But T-Mobile has been, especially with 5G, T-Mobile is using new frequencies. So your old SIM, which how old is that SIM? When did you get it?
No. The Metro new SIM. That's a new SIM because the A32 5G has a new SIM.
So when you got it, they included a new SIM in it?
Yes, sir.
Good. All right. So that means, so it's weird, but this is the case, and Verizon does this too, that as they turn on new radios and different capabilities, and 5G is one of those capabilities, your SIM has to also be upgraded. Your SIM doesn't know about these new capabilities. That's that little chip that you put in the phone. But if you got your A32 from the Metro PCS store and it came with...
No. I brought it from Best Buy, but when I went from Metro to Verizon, back to Metro, they put a brand new
SIM. So that means you've got the SIM that knows about the latest 900 megahertz frequencies that they're using or whatever. I think it's 6 to 900. I think.
Right.
So then that's not it. Okay. So it just could be you're in a valley, in a radio frequency valley that isn't getting a good signal because maybe there's buildings between you and the towers or whatever. As you go about town.
For like 2.5 years, I had no problem.
Well, understand with the merger with Sprint, T-Mobile, and the move to 5G, T-Mobile's rejiggering their towers a little bit. So, and towers go out, by the way. So you can be, I bet you there's a tower on, I don't know, what's a nice tall building in your neck of the woods?
The Diplomat.
There's a tower at the top of the Diplomat, and it went out. And the nearest tower to you is another couple of miles away, and maybe the Diplomat's between you and that kind of thing. And that often happens. That's not at all unusual. And sometimes it could take months to fix those towers. Sometimes they're decommissioning towers. And I think T-Mobile is in a little bit of that process, too. So it was smart to try Verizon. Maybe Verizon wasn't the best choice. If you don't mind doing it again, try AT&T.
No, actually... Really, it's getting better. But the way I had the Samsung A32 work, I was feeding the hotspot from the Galaxy, and it seemed like it made it work better. So all of a sudden, I was uploading my. I need two phones to make one phone work.
That's nuts. But that might be the case also, that one works better than the other because it's got a later model SIM, or it has radios built in. The older phones may not work as well. That's the problem. There's no. And this is why when people talk about replacing their home internet with cellular, which T-Mobile is starting to do, it's a kind of a complicated equation, and it's even worse a little bit with a cell phone, because you might be great in the corner of the room there, but not so good in the other corner. We've all seen people putting their cell phone up in the air by a window trying to get a signal. So it's radio, and it's inconsistent. That's unfortunately the case.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is getting a little bit better. It is getting a little bit.
Actually, believe it or not, well, the J7 was working better than the A32, and for some reason,
which makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make no sense. Right. And for some reason, it's working a little bit better now. So I don't know what to say.
Both of those phones are inexpensive phones. That's another thing. Not guaranteed that you spend more on a phone, you'll get a better antenna, but some phones have better antennas than others, and that can make a difference too. Location in the building, location of the building, all of that makes a difference. So, the FCC has, for the first time ever, published coverage maps. They never did this before for cell carriers. I'm not assuming that the FCC's maps would be better than the carriers. They have less reason to lie. But there is a mobile LTE coverage map now from the FCC. You might check that, because that does show T-Mobile versus AT&T versus US Cellular versus Verizon. So it'll give you. Pardon me?
Where do I get that map?
It's fcc.gov. I'll put a link in the show notes at techguylabs.com. Okay. But if you just search fcc.gov, you can see their maps. Okay. And that might give you an idea of, for instance, where there's a dead spot in your neck of the woods. Right behind the Diplomat. I think I've stayed at the Diplomat. I feel like I have. I don't know. I might be wrong. 8888 Ask Leo. This is this is the issue with cell. In fact, it's one of the reasons I think cell carriers really want you to use Wi-Fi, because then they're not responsible. They even have nowadays they have Wi-Fi calling, even, right? And now, a word from our sponsor, Mint Mobile. Love Mint Mobile. We were talking about MVNOs on the show. Mint Mobile is a T-Mobile NVNO. That means they resell T-Mobile service at a significant discount. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by the big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, we've learned there's always a catch, always some extra charges or fine print. So when I first learned that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless service starting at $15 a month, I thought, no. There's a catch. There's an upsell. But after talking with them and using their service for more than a year now, it makes sense. There's no catch. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. Not available in stores. They don't have to maintain a retail presence. They've got Ryan Reynolds, and that's enough. He's one of the owners, and he's a great spokesperson for Mint Mobile. They cut out the retail stores. No crazy overhead costs that get passed down to you in the form of mystery fees. You just get sweet savings passed on direct to you. And Mint Mobile's great. You probably already have a phone that works with it. You can go to mintmobile.com/techguy and enter in the number, the MMEI number from your phone. They'll tell you whether it'll work. But they also sell phones. In fact, I got a great deal on an iPhone SE. Really good deal on iPhone SE. Pair that with Mint Mobile service. And for a phone and service, I'm paying $30 a month. I mean, that's an amazing deal. It's about a third what I pay T-Mobile for basically the same thing. And that includes a phone with Mint Mobile. All Mint Mobile plans come with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You get all the benefits of that network without the big bill, frankly. And, of course, if you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee. You can bring your phone, port your number over. You won't change numbers. You can even, if you bring your phone, the contacts, you'll just bring those all along with you. If you buy a phone, they'll send you a SIM absolutely free. There's no charge, whether you buy a phone or not, actually. And that's another thing the other guys will charge you for. Switch now to Mint Mobile. You'll get premium wireless service starting at $15 a month. They have an unlimited plan. I ended up buying a year in advance, which saved me even more. I just think it's a great deal. To get your new wireless plan for as little as $15 a month and get the plan and SIM shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com mintmobile.com/tech guy. These guys really live up to their promise. I'm very happy with them. mintmobile.com/tech guy. Makes me wonder why I'm paying a lot more for service from these other companies. Actually, I do it so I can talk about how bad these other companies are and tell you how good Mint Mobile is. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month. mintmobile.com/tech guy. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Now back to the show. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Spending time with my girl. 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. Micah's on the line from Maine. Hello, Micah.
Hey, Leo. Great to talk to you as always. I really need your help today.
Oh, no.
Nothing terrible. Nothing broken, but this is stuff you could be talking about this in your sleep. You'd get it, and you get the question kind of often too, I'm afraid. But it's time for me to get a domain. Not because I need a domain, but because eventually I'm going to be able to get rid of Spectrum. I don't know when, but with all the infrastructure improvement and everything that's happening here in Maine, I may be able to change my internet service provider, which means I'll need to give up my main.rr.com email, which is my predominant one.
Hey, what's happening? You said everything that's happening in Maine. What's happening in Maine?
Oh, there's a huge internet thing going on where they want to expand high-speed internet into the northern parts of Maine and all through the rest of Maine where it isn't available. If you get up into Aroostook County, up near Presque Isle and Caribou and those areas, it's really hard to find
southern Maine is basically, I don't know what, Massachusetts or what's the southern? Right. Yeah, I mean it's
northern Massachusetts.
Northern Massachusetts. It's urban, but then so everybody, I think when they hear Maine, they think rocky beaches and pioneers and log cabins and stuff. That's up north.
Right, north and west. But
north and west.
When you're on the southern coast, where Spectrum and Xfinity and Net, all those other horrible guys.
So the state is doing this though, which is kind of cool. I like that.
Oh yeah, there's been bond issues, and a lot of our infrastructure money that we're getting from all this is going to go this way. It's wonderful.
Nice.
But
are you in rural Maine or are you in Massachusetts North?
I'm in Massachusetts North.
Okay.
I'm in Portland, and I'm stuck with Spectrum, and I've been with them since
I know.
a local company, and there's nothing you can do. It's a monopoly. And if the FCC would require these monopoly cable companies to open up their fiber cables,
I agree.
The way that they required the regular copper companies to open up their copper, then we wouldn't have this. But
the cable companies whined that back when this was, bruited about, they said, no, if you make us do that, we can't afford to dig all those trenches, and we'll just stop expanding, which of course is a lie. It's the same lie AT&T told, Comcast told when these mergers, they just lie. They say, oh, no, that'd be bad. You can't do that. Oh, we just have to leave the bit. We'd go bankrupt. No. No.
It's like Comcast acquiring NBC.
Yeah.
They violated the act that was put together with the movie theaters. Yeah. How can you both be creating and distributing the same thing? It's the
Micah, you're preaching to the choir. I love it. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So,
but anyway,
you were going to leave Spectrum? You're going to leave them? What's going on?
When the time comes, I want to be able to, but I need to have really good email. So you've been listening to me preaching for this. So absolutely. I'll say it again. Email's too important to be treated as just like, oh, it's a benefit I get from my internet service provider, or, oh, I'll use the free Gmail or whatever. It's too important. So spend a little money and get it set up right. Once you do this once, and it'll be yours for life. And the first thing to do is, just as you said, get a domain name. Here's where the question comes in, Leo.
Yes.
Because I know that one of your sponsors has been, and I hope maybe still is,
Hover. Good people. So where did Airline Pilot Guy go?
Oh, no. Airline Pilot Guy is a podcast that belongs to someone else.
I confuse you with Airline Pilot. You're who?
And I'm with the airplane. I'm friends with the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airplane Geek.
I love him. Jeff Nielsen, who runs that, is great. But I'm part of the Airplane Geek.
Well, where did AirplaneGeeks.com come from? Where did they go to?
We have that. I don't know where they register it, and I have an email address with them. But I want to get my own. So
you want Micah Geek or something like that. And I agree with you. You should absolutely do that.
But the question is this. I know you also like fast mail. So I'm looking at fast mail and I'm looking at the prices because I'm a cheapskate too. I don't mind. $90 a year is fair for 100 gigabytes. But if I get my email with Hover, I can
cheaper.
get
1
terabyte a year for $30.
Yes.
Am I making a mistake?
No. Hover's good email system. Here's why I like to decouple. In the ideal world, money being all other things being equal, the money being the same, it would be nice to have an email service decoupled from the domain registrar. In fact, my preference is to only use a domain registrar like Hover for domain names, so that it's easy to move stuff around, right? And it still would be easy even if you used Hover for email. If at some point you said, I want to use Gmail instead, it wouldn't be so hard to do. But I just like separating the two for some, it's just, I'm like separates. I'm a components guy, not an all-in-one guy. But it's nothing wrong with it. Hover's email is good. The reason I spend money on fast mail, and by the way, I think I don't spend quite as much money as $90 a year. It's close. It's $230 for 3 years. So what is that? That's a little less than $80, $78 a year. To me, that's worth it. But again, you're right, Hover's a lot cheaper for more storage. So maybe it's very similar. There's some things I can do. For instance, I use Fastmail as a DNS system. They offer domain names as well. So I register. So for instance, I registered. Let me find a domain name I don't mind giving out. Lotl.fun. 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 At Hover, they are still the registry of records, so it'll renew through them. But then I said to Hover, now let Fastmail handle the DNS, including the mail. And that's actually a little bit better because Hover does a lot of things, Fastmail does a lot of things with the email for authentication. There's several different email authentication technologies, and Fastmail like DKIM and SPF does that automatically. I know Hover might, actually. I would look. I think Fastmail is a little bit more advanced, but you pay for that. So the short answer to your question, I just gave you the very long answer, is yes, get a domain name at Hover or anywhere else. Most registrars offer email as well. That's the easiest to set up. Go for that. I'll tell you why the biggest difference for me and the reason I use Fastmail. Hover charges for additional addresses. So if you get, micahsemail.com and you want Micah at micahemail.com, but also info at michaelemail.com or my grandma at micahemail.com, each one of those will cost you more. With Fastmail, you have an infinite number. So, in other words, it depends how you want to use it, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with using Hover. I've never used them for email, so I'm not sure what the capabilities are, but I do remember that was the big one for me. Was I like to have a lot of aliases with every email account. And
I was hoping for that too, and I assumed that I could, with 1 terabyte, that I would be able to create.
It's not merely the storage.
Figure that out.
Yeah, it's not merely the storage. They charge you for additional addresses.
Okay.
So I would check that.
There's the difference.
Yeah, I would check that. It says now add as many email addresses as you need, but what they don't tell you is they charge. I would look at their pricing and see. Terabyte $29 a year. But how many addresses do you get? I don't know. And they do webmail and IMAP, both of which you'd want. I think they charge for additional. We tell you, man, if you're. They don't say specifically. Let me see if I can find adding email addresses. Well, I would look into that. FAQ under billing and payments, they probably explain that.
Yeah, and I think they have a help phone number, so if I get that bad, I could always call them.
That's for me the big one, because what I do with my Fastmail addresses is I say, look, anything at Lotl Fun goes to my inbox, but then when I sign up for stuff, I will sign up. When I signed up for Verizon, it was Verizon at Lottle Fun, or Blue Apron at Lottle Fun. I always use the name of the company at the email address. I don't use Lottle Fun for that, but that's what I do. So that's a nice little thing, just so that everybody has a unique address. It makes it easier to filter and also lets you know if they're selling your address.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that makes complete sense.
So having ability to create infinite email addresses at that domain is a big thing for me.
Hey, can you ask Johnny a question for me? Because I know he's coming up.
Go ahead. Yes, Johnny's right there. What do you want to know?
I'm just curious what he thinks about this whole Spirit debacle.
Oh, I bet you he's going to talk about that.
Definitely. How that works with ULCCs in general, ultra-low-cost carriers, because they don't have a lot of aircraft to substitute if they make a mistake, unlike the big carriers.
Exactly.
That's exactly why I tell people not to book on them unless you know exactly what you're getting into, because, the ultra-low fare carriers do not have interline agreements, so they can't put you on another airline. But even if they could, these days, there's nowhere to put you because every flight is going out full. So that was actually in my notes to talk about today. So,
I figured he'd be talking about that, but that's a good question.
And not only that, but with the ultra-low-cost carriers, and I'm just going to use like Delta for an example as a non-ultra-low-cost carrier. If there's a problem with the ultra-low-cost carrier flight and the plane goes down, they don't have another plane to pull in, whereas Delta has a couple of spares here that they can, pull in to do something with. And that's, I think, something that most travelers, that
I don't know that.
A piece for the airplane geeks called Will the Circle Be Unbroken? About how people don't realize that ultra-low-cost carriers, when it gets right down to it, aren't really going to be a whole lot cheaper than...
No, because they charge you for carry-on. They charge you for, seat belt. They charge you for using the bathroom. I don't know. I'm making that up. But
exactly. And they may be going to an airport. They may say it's Orlando, but it's not Orlando. Right. It's that other airport.
We flew Spirit once, and the big thing for me was seat pitch. My knees are pressed up against the seat in front of me. And
they're the tightest.
And I told Lisa, let's not fly Spirit. And she said, yeah, I'm sorry. We'll never fly them again. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've never flown Spirit. I actually booked a ticket once. And when I went to check in, they're like, they're going to charge me for my carry-on. And I was like, you know what? I rented a car.
All right, Mike, I got to run. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Take care, man. I'll get your podcast right the next time. I promise.
Thanks.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Where are you? Are you at home or are you in the library?
I'm at a kid's birthday party.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Johnny.
So
You're the man. Listen. He's been everywhere. He's been up and down, east and west. He's even gone to little Jimmy's birthday party, and he's here right now to talk travel with us. Johnny Jet. You said you're at a kid's birthday party right now?
Yep. I'm in Palos Verdes at a birthday party. I apologize in advance if the door opens with my son begging me to take him into the pool.
Aww.
I told him after I do my radio hit.
Committed. Thank you. And thanks to the homeowners who have allowed you to use their bandwidth and their setup.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
You're great.
So, Johnny, Spirit.
Yes.
Holy cow, what's going on? Now, this is what we call an ultra-low-cost carrier.
Correct. So, I mean, I'm sure I've given this advice before. I stay away from Spirit, and I tell people not to book them unless you know exactly what you're getting into. You got to read the fine print because they'll charge you to print your boarding pass. They'll charge you to bring your carry-on luggage on the plane. But most importantly, that if something goes wrong, like what's happened this week, first they had weather and then they have staffing issues. They don't have enough pilots. They don't have enough flight attendants. I mean, their gate agents literally had to hide because people have been so upset. I mean, families with young children. I just saw on the news here in LA that a woman from LA has been stuck in Chicago since Tuesday.
Oh my God.
So it's not just because, and I just looked again, I look on flightaware.com, you /canceled, and it shows you all the flights that are canceled around the world. Spirit again is canceled. Today they canceled 23% of their flights, which is not as bad as it has been all week.
But that does have it has a ripple effect too throughout all the other flights.
It does.
People book it assuming that one airline's much like another.
They're not. And that is a problem, as Micah just mentioned on the
he wasn't on the
break.
air. Yeah. So tell the people, because only you and he heard that.
Right. So, when you do book a flight with these low-cost carriers, or something goes wrong like this, they don't have another plane to bring in, and they don't have interline agreements where they can put you on another airline like the major carriers do. But the problem is, even, American had problems this week as well. Not as bad, but they had bad weather, and they did cancel a bunch of flights. But there's nowhere to put you. Every flight these days is going out completely full because the airlines weren't expecting such a surge as they're having right now. And they cut back so many flights, during the pandemic, and they haven't returned them all. And they also don't have enough pilots and flight attendants. Especially the pilots is a problem for all over. I mean, it's not just the travel industry. It's the whole entertainment industry, service industry.
Yeah, restaurants.
Yeah, I went to a restaurant 2 days ago. We were trying to find a cook.
I see job wanted signs in every single restaurant in town. Help wanted. I wonder why is that? I mean,
well, there's a few reasons. I mean, one is that supposedly some of them are still getting benefits, so they're making the same amount of money.
I don't buy that. You know what it is? I think people realized after they found another job that they were working really hard for very low wages and said, this isn't a great job.
That's another reason, for sure. And also when they do lay off, especially in the airlines, if you lay off a pilot, you can't just call them up and say, hey, we need you to fly tomorrow after a year.
They found another job.
Well, not just they found another job, they need to train. It takes time to train all these. So you just can't have someone rehire. And the same thing with the like Delta Airlines. They've been having a terrible time with their call centers. I'm talking hours to call. And the reason why is because they laid off so many people, but you just can't hire someone and say, hey, I need you to answer the phones. Well, they don't, these guys have no idea what the policies are or how to work a computer. Their system.
So other airlines are having the same problems. They're just more resilient. The ultra low cost airlines, in order to cut costs, have smaller fleets, don't have interline agreements. They're saving money, but as a result, they're not as resilient.
Well, for sure with Spirit and Frontier and Allegiant, but Spirit has really been bad this week. But again, American is the largest carrier in the world, and they are full service, and they've had problems this week. So again, I tell people, when you're flying this summer, you have to show up to the airport extra early, because again, if you miss a flight, there's nowhere to put you. Make sure when you have your connections, if you're flying between, don't listen to the airlines when they say, you can do a 30-minute connection. You're never going to make that in cities like, big hubs like Chicago or Atlanta or wherever. Make sure you have at least an hour and a half between flights, because again, if you miss it, you could be stuck there for days, like this woman in Chicago.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. And when you see, a lot of people book Spirit and they don't know that it's ultra low cost carrier.
Well, that's what I flew it once because we didn't know. And the seats were really close together. I could barely move. There were a lot of, and you end up paying for carry-on. You end up paying for a lot of things. It may not even be cheaper in the long run.
It depends, but I have friends who love them because they do have one of the cheapest first class, although it's not first class, but they have it's called the big front seat or up front seat,
big seats,
which is like it's a much bigger seat, and but they don't recline. But if you're not checking a bag and you're commuting between two destinations, it is a great offering.
I'm glad they're there.
New planes.
Yeah, the brand new planes. Wait a minute, and none of the seats recline, right?
They don't.
You know why? They're so close together.
True.
When my knees were pressed up against the seat in front of me, if that person had reclined the seat, I would have been hurt. So I'm glad.
I actually like the idea of having airlines having coach seats not recline, because I think a lot of fights would happen because of that.
Causes problems.
I mean, I was on a flight one time from Paris to like Lyon or somewhere in France, and the woman behind me, I was so tired from the red-eye flight across the ocean, I put my seat back because the person in front of me put their seat back, and the woman just snapped on me. And I said, listen, what am I supposed to do? The person in front of me reclined. I don't recline unless the person in front of me reclines.
It goes all the way down. This is why, if you ask me, I consider traveling on a cruise ship the best way to get around. It's comfy. They feed you. There's entertainment. That's why we've put together a TWiT cruise, my podcast network. My wife and I, and And Paul Thurrott from our Windows Weekly show and his wife Stephanie will all be going to Alaska next year in July 2022. By then, I don't know. I don't think we'll have to wear masks on the boat. Right now, it's on Holland America. Their requirement is you have to be vaccinated or be tested, and I think that's good. I'm happy to hear that. If you're interested, it's July 2022, an Alaska cruise on Holland America's Eurodam. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm putting in a plug here, and maybe I can drag Johnny Jet along. Cruise.twit.tv, cruise.twit.tv. Sorry, using some of your time to plug my own thing. You know why I'm doing this? It's filling up. We've got more than 100 people already. Wow, it's filling up fast, and I think at some point Holland America is going to say, "Okay, that's enough." That's all you get. So I just want to make sure everybody knows about it. Have you ever done that, like a fan cruise?
No, I've never organized one. I've always, to be honest, I've always kind of been afraid. I wouldn't know if I would be able to book it. I wouldn't know.
I was terrified. I thought this is going to be embarrassing if 5 people sign up, but now I feel all right. I think we have 193 inquiries and 100 bookings. And Big Island Aloha, you're going to be on it. That's awesome. Look forward to it. I see in the chat room.
Cruises are going to, all travel next year is going to explode because
cruises are great because nobody puts their seat back down in front of you there. You still have to fly there, I guess, unless you live in Seattle.
Well, the best part about cruising is you can see multiple destinations without packing and unpacking.
I agree.
And I love that.
And it's kind of, you feel like a prince or a princess. It's very fun. They treat you nice.
I've probably been to 70 or 80 countries in the world, and 50 of them might have been via cruises, and you can hit 8 in 2 weeks.
Exactly. In fact,
and then you can go back and then you go back, you get a flavor, then you go back and spend some.
I'm a little nervous because we got an Asia cruise, Lisa and I, for January. I'm a little nervous.
I'd be nervous.
Yeah, Thailand's going through a little crisis right now. That's one of the countries we're going to.
I don't think that's going to happen, that cruise.
I think Alaska will be safe.
Alaska will be, and I think Asia will be safe next summer.
Yeah, we've already put it off 1 year. We were going to go last year. Now I think we might have to put off next year too. Johnny Jet's newsletter and website, johnnyjet.com. I'm still targeting that round the world cruise in 2026. I have to save for it. It's very expensive.
These cruises have been selling out in just a few days.
I know.
Around the world.
We had to book that Mississippi River cruise for 3 years from now.
Yep, they're booking.
Whew. At least I know where I'll be 3 years from now on the mighty Mississippi.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of news this week. I'll talk about it another time, but.
Oh, well, you can do it now if you want. Oh, you got a party to go to.
No, I mean, that's not that. But, the United Airlines announced this week that they're going to make all employees be vaccinated.
Good.
They have to be vaccinated.
Good.
By late October. Frontier Airlines just came out saying they're going to do the same thing. The CEO of Delta has kind of hinted, saying that he might require customers to be fully vaccinated if the vaccines get full approval from the FDA. If they don't, then he will not.
Wow.
But
that's going to come this fall, I believe. So
that's what they say. So yeah. I think once that happens, more and more businesses are starting to lean that way.
Yeah. We did. All our employees are vaccinated. We didn't demand they show us proof, but they're trustworthy people, but they're all vaccinated.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to have to be.
I'm worried about schools because kids can't be.
Right.
And too. It's not going to make them sick, but they're going to come home with the Delta variant, and mom and dad are going to go, oh.
Well, I'm actually worried about the kids.
The kids too.
The kids are showing up.
I know. You don't want a kid to get sick. I know.
I'm going through this with my, but I wrote a post that went viral this week, had the most traffic to the website earlier in the week.
What was it?
It was 5 reasons why I'm not going to Canada when the border opens.
Oh.
And it got picked up in Canada.
Oh, I bet they were pissed.
Oh my God. I had so many nasty comments, but they missed the point. I love Canada. I'm just saying it's just not the time to go to Canada. And one of the reasons was because the Canadian Border Patrol said they're going to strike. They're supposed to start striking yesterday, and it just came out just a few hours ago or minutes ago saying that they're not going to strike now.
Oh, good. But that's a good reason not to go. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, I don't think a lot of Canadians want Americans to come right now because of the Delta variant.
Yeah. I'm afraid we have to kind of, unfortunately, go a little bit backwards again and get this done right. And let's get it going here. And I'm hoping it'll be back to normal in a year.
I don't know if it'll ever be back to normal, but we'll be able to live with it and we'll be able to travel.
Oh, yeah. It'll be endemic forever.
And by the way, I got some nasty emails or one nasty email or comment in the chat room last week. They said that, I'm not promoting travel. I am promoting travel, but I'm promoting smart travel. Make sure you get vaccinated. Don't go to hot spots. Wear a mask. Eat outdoors.
Poor Johnny. Johnny, one comment. I get hundreds every week. Just ignore them.
Listen, it's hard for me to ignore anything.
I know, but live and learn. If you're in the public eye, there's going to be somebody who has an opinion. And nowadays, it's so easy to express. I was just reading an article about social media where they said, in the old days, somebody put something up on write a letter to the editor, or maybe put something up on a telephone pole. And if you didn't like it, you just go, I don't like that. And you go on. You wouldn't tweet. There was nowhere to tweet about it and email and and that's changed. It's easy to be outraged nowadays.
Listen, I have 3 older brothers and sisters. I have thick skin.
Good.
So it takes a lot.
I don't. I'm very sensitive. I'd had to teach myself to ignore those guys.
Okay.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Enjoy the birthday party.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, John. Bye-bye. Hey, a quick note, if you're enjoying the Tech Guy podcast or any of our podcasts at twit.tv, there's a way you can support us. In fact, I think increasingly it's going to become more and more important for our continued survival because, frankly, advertisers are moving off to platforms where they can spy on you, like Spotify, Apple, iHeart. I understand that, but it makes it harder for us to survive as a free network. We decided the best thing to do is to continue to offer everything for free as we always have. I'm not interested in setting up a paywall, but to give those of you who love Twit a chance to support Twit. We call it Club Twit, $7 a month, that's all. It supports all of our shows, and you get some real benefits, too. You get ad-free versions, ad-free and tracker-free versions of everything we do. Audio and video. You'll get a custom feed for any show you want, just for you. It's your feed. You also get access to our fabulous Discord, I should say. It's so much fun in the Discord server. A lot of great people, all Club Twit members. You have to be a member of Club Twit. All of our hosts are in there, too. To interact with the hosts, interact with each other. Not just about our shows, not just about tech topics. We've got sections on everything geeks love. Anime, comic books, regular books, philosophy, travel. That's a great benefit. In fact, we didn't expect it to be, but it has really become the place I love to hang out. It's my social network, and I think for a lot of people it is. And then there's a final benefit to Club Twit membership, and that's the Twit Plus feed. These are things that didn't make it to the podcasts, often discussions, fun times before and after the show, special events, things like that. All of that for $7 a month. But the best part is you get that warm and fuzzy feeling knowing you're keeping Twit on the air. So we thank you very much. If you want to know more about Club Twit, if you want to join, it's month to month. So if you feel like $7 later it wasn't worth it, you can cancel at any time. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And thank you so much for your support. We really love each and every one of you. And honestly, I always say this, we couldn't do it without your support. Here's a way you can show it. Club Twit at twit.tv/clubtwit. Now back to the podcast. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hit the road and then come back. It's okay. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536. Francis is on the line from Inverness, Florida. Hello, Francis.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Well, I just got through some surgery the other day.
Oh,
I'm pretty well. I just have a little trouble walking around.
Okay, but you're going to be all right, yeah?
I think so.
Good.
I'm getting better. My voice is a little bit rough because the anesthesia.
Yeah, they put the thing then. Yeah, that's okay. I got it. I'm glad you're doing all right, though. That's great.
Yeah. Well, I've got a little problem. I downloaded this SketchUp Pro 2020, and when I go to run it, it comes up with hardware acceleration is unsupported or disabled on your graphics card.
Yeah.
What do I do? I've been through the help. I searched it.
What kind of do you have a graphics card in your computer?
Well, I have one that I have a Hewlett-Packard computer that kind of seals up. I don't have a.
Yeah, you probably don't have a graphics card. Of course, every computer nowadays has graphics support, but it's usually built in with Intel. You probably have something like Intel Iris graphics. But SketchUp's still working, isn't it?
No.
It won't work at all?
No.
Oh, that's frustrating. It should still work even if you don't have graphics card support. Let me look. I'm going to go look and see what the requirements are, because that's a little disappointing. Does it say on the box requires? This is a three-dimensional modeling program. What are you using it for?
I'm involved with some woodworking stuff. I'm retired and I'm working on it, and they use SketchUp often to do this. I don't really need three-dimensional.
Yeah, but that's cool because you can model, a piece of furniture and see it from all the way around. Pro is expensive. You got the $300 a year Pro?
Well, I downloaded the free one so I can check it out.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, because it's $300 a year for something that doesn't work seems like a lot. So I'm looking to see if they say anywhere in their product requirements that you must have what's called a discrete GPU, because that's the issue. It says you don't have graphics card support. And I won't run. Whoa, How old is your HP?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's about 5 years old.
Yeah, that should have what I call motherboard graphics or built-in graphics. Probably the Intel Iris. Actually, Iris is brand new, but what Intel puts in there, which should be for most programs is more than adequate. The difference would be it just wouldn't run very fast. Now, SketchUp used to be owned by Google. It was purchased and is now owned by Trimble. And I'm wondering if, I see the prices really gone skyrocketing through the roof. I'm wondering if they've changed the requirements. It's disappointing because I can't find anywhere on the page where it says product requirements. And that's the first thing it should say if it's not going to work unless you have a discrete graphics card. You might look in the settings to see if there's a place where you can turn off graphics support.
I've been down that alley, you might say.
Yeah.
And I have a graphics Intel HD graphics.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the built-in graphics.
I gather that.
Yeah. So let me look. I did somebody in the chat room just gave me a link to the product page, which is in their help section. It doesn't. You do need a 3D class video card with 1 gigabyte of memory. So it says SketchUp's performance relies heavily on the graphics card driver and its ability to support OpenGL 3.1. So historically, people have seen problems with Intel-based cards with SketchUp. We don't recommend using these with SketchUp at this time. And in fact, it sounds like it won't even work. They have on this page, and I'll put a link at Tech Guy Labs. That's our website. It's free. I'll put a link to their SketchUp checkup, which you can run to see what your system does and whether it will work. And it sounds like they're saying you must have graphics card support for OpenGL 3.1. Maybe that older Intel processor doesn't do it. They say it's historically a problem, so you may have this problem. Now,
yeah.
So download the checkup anyway and run it, because it might say, okay, you can't use Pro, but you can use SketchUp Web, which you probably can. In fact, that'd probably be more than enough, given it's.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think you want to pay $300 a year for this. Just look at the SketchUp for the web, which which will run, and it'll do pretty much the same thing. It runs in your browser. It does have hardware requirements. But let me just look and see if it requires a graphics card. No, it'll use the Intel HD integrated graphics. That's what you've got.
Yes.
So it might be a little sluggish, but it will run.
I got plenty of time.
I'm glad to hear that, Francis. The surgery must have been a success. That's good.
Well, I thought it was going to be a quick one, but I didn't. I came in at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they didn't release me till 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, it was a tough abdominal.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm glad they, it's funny. I've talked to my dad. He says, every time I go in, they said, oh, it's nothing. It'll be arthroscopic. Just a little incision will go in. And he says, then I come out with an 8-inch incision and said, well, we had a little trouble. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm glad you're doing all right. Hang in there, Francis. Try SketchUp for web. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right.
Web.
It'll even work on a Chromebook. So I think that's the solution. And honestly, Pro's cool, but $300 a year, really? Google bought SketchUp and made it free for a while, and then, as was often the case with Google, they got tired of it. Sold it to Trimble. Trimble said, hey, we can make some money. This GPS stuff we're doing isn't going anywhere, so maybe we can make some money on this thing. It's a common situation with the Google stuff. Tom, Riverside, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo.
Hey, Tom.
I wanted to ask your opinion on what's been in the news last week. There's been Apple is going to be deputized, or they've deputized themselves to monitor their equipment for child pornography and so on, and then it's not just that. I mean, that's their label, that's their excuse right now, because a lot of people are saying that that's a slippery slope, and that's it
is. I understand. I started the show talking about it. It's important to understand exactly what they're doing. They're not looking at your images or your messages. They have a database from the National Center for Exploiting and Missing Children that is just fingerprints of child pornography, and then matching those fingerprints with fingerprints they create on your device. They're trying to do it as carefully as possible. My personal opinion is it's okay. I think a lot of the people who are most scared by this haven't read the details of it. Apple's working very hard to make it private. Certainly, we wouldn't want them to go any farther, but they really couldn't. They're not looking at your images, and I guess that's the most important point. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's a really good question, Tom, and I understand people are upset. I know we'll be spending a lot of airtime on my other shows talking about it. We're still on, by the way. We're in the podcast. We're still in the podcast. Okay. I think that they were probably put under pressure. By the way, Facebook's already doing this. Google does it. I think there probably was a lot of pressure from the government to do this. There is a regular report about child pornography on these sites, and the problem is that people who are spreading this have discovered, hey, the internet's a great way to share these images, these illegal images.
Let me say something about that. Sure. I'm not interested in child pornography. Maybe some other pornography occasionally, but I'm not interested in. That's not really the angle.
No, of course not. Nor am I. And that's the point. The technology that they're using only works with this database of images from the National Center for Exploiting and Missing Children. It can't. Right. They're not actually looking at your images. No one's seeing those images. It only works with that database of fingerprints. I don't know how many images are in there, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. But when you get iOS 15, it will download that database, probably not very big, a few megabytes. They'll download that, and then it will compare the fingerprints that it makes on device with that. And that technology can't be expanded to look for other stuff.
Other things,
because there's no National Center for Exploited and Missing Guns that's going to have a database of fingerprints of gun imagery, for instance.
It's just a matter of time,
Well, and if that happens, you bet I'll be first in line to say, that's it, no more iPhones, because that would be overreach.
Yeah, that's what I was.
I completely agree.
It jumps. It's just like them wiring Trump from. It jumps to everything else. Then see.
Well, but we got to keep an eye. Yeah. And yet, I think you and we would agree the problem with the internet right now is that child pornography is very easy to spread because you're anonymous and you can store it in all these services. So
I really don't understand that too much because
you and I are not interested, right?
I'm not on the internet.
Okay, there you go.
I'm not. There's no picture for me at all at this point.
Absolutely, and
I would go with Apple. But now hearing this, I'm not sure that that's significant, and you're saying it's not significant. But the other thing is that it just spreads to other things, and they always use an excuse like, who's going to object to that?
Exactly.
That's the weakest link.
Consider the children is always the excuse.
Yeah, it's always an excuse. Yep. And then the other thing is that it's just what it goes to, and then the other thing I was thinking was isn't that already monitored anyway?
It isn't, and that's the thing. The problem with that is any other system of monitoring would be intrusive. It would require a human looking at your pictures. And so they haven't done that up to now because, first of all, nobody wants that job.
I thought it was dark web, all that stuff.
It is. Well, that's the problem. It doesn't have to be dark web. It could be Google Drive. It could be Dropbox. It could be iCloud. And so that's why this database of fingerprints was created by the National Center for Exploiting Missing Children, and that's why they've distributed this database and said, look, you don't need to look at people's images. We're not asking you to do that. It's a simple calculation the computer can do very quickly to generate a fingerprint for those images, and if you get a match, then there's
they look into it. Yeah.
Then they look into it, and actually the way Apple set it up is you can't just be one match. There has to be a number. They haven't said what that number is, but has to be a number of matches before. And if it's on a young person's phone of under 13, they'll notify the parents. That's all.
Right.
If it's on an adult's phone, they send that information to the National Center for Exploiting Missing Children, who I presume will pass it along to law enforcement. But before they do, they're going to verify that it is in fact exploitive material. So yeah, I agree. Yeah. This is intrusive. They're doing the best they can to make it intrusive without, to somewhat
being more intrusive. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good question. That's why I brought it up at the beginning of the show. It's a really good question.
Yeah, I missed it. I was afraid that maybe that had happened, but I didn't catch the first part.
Yeah.
So I missed your...
Well, and there's also this issue that if you're a child pornographer, you just go, well, I guess we're not going to use iPhones or iCloud. But
they can always get around.
There's plenty of other places they can use. That's right.
They got to go old school.
Yeah, exactly.
They got to go with the trench
and you know what?
In the corner and selling the pornography.
Exactly. Right now, if you said to me the Postal Service is now going to look at every image mailed and check, then I'd say, whoa, stop it. Because there's no cryptographically safe way to do that, but because they're not, and they don't. By the way, they don't open your mail. So if you're selling child porn, you're just going to mail it.
Yeah.
So I think this is done in as judicious a way as possible. I think it's right to be concerned. I mentioned at the beginning of the show the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is a really good organization. I support. I donate to them every month.
Yeah.
Has said this is a slippery slope. It's a step too far.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what Apple does about it.
They've been around for a while.
Yeah, no, I love them.
The militias work with them. They support the militia movement, and that's important in this country that we live in now.
Yeah. So I would say if the government did this, yes, I'd be a little concerned.
That was the other question. Are they volunteering, or is the government?
Well, I suspect there's pressure on them to do it from the government. But remember, they stood up to the FBI. They're pretty good about...
They did.
Yeah, they're pretty good about protecting our privacy when they think it's going to cause security issues for everyone. But I think there's a public relations nightmare for them if it, it's already starting to look like, because they report far fewer incidents of CSAM, child sexual abuse material, than any other company. So it's starting to look like, you're not doing a good job of this. And I think that's what it really came down to. They only reported.
Relaxed.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah. Hey, it's a pleasure talking to you, Tom.
All right. I appreciate it. Again, Leo, thank you.
Thank you.
The best.
Good question.
Bye.
I appreciate it. Take care. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, still can call. Just call with Skype out, and I'd love to hear from you. 8888 Ask Leo. That topic Tom brought up from Riverside at the end of the hour, we kind of ran out of time, only had a minute or two to talk about it, but it's a really important topic and a complicated one. I think it's important to look and understand the technology Apple is using to find this child porn. It is not looking at your images. Apple's not looking at your images. That's not how it works. The computer generates a fingerprint, then matches that fingerprint against a database of known child porn images. And if there's a match, then they notify the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But no one's looking at those images. If there's a match, or if there's a series of matches, it takes more than one, Apple does generate a thumbnail of your image, and then it is transmitted to Apple to make sure it's not a mismatch. It's not a false positive. The technology they're using, though, the cryptographic technology they're using to make these fingerprints is very, very good. And the chance of a false match, a false positive, is in the order of 1 in a billion. It's very low. Very low. And others are doing this. Cloudflare does it. Facebook does it, using the same technology, because these companies feel like they need to do something, because the spread of child pornography over the internet is pretty easy. And so they feel like, well, we got to do something about this. And this seems to be, I think, for those companies, a good middle ground, protecting their users' privacy without ignoring the problem. And I understand people's concern, and I think before you weigh in on it, though, it would really be good. There's been unfortunately, a lot of poor reporting about this, about how it works. So read what Apple has published about it. I think that's probably the best place to go, because they have a very complete description. They understand this is going to be a hot button. This is going to be a problem. So it's apple.com/child-safety. And I realize it's a little techie, the explanation of how they're doing this. That's why I took it on and tried to explain it in plain English. It's a fingerprint, and they're matching against fingerprints of known child pornography provided by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. This is a well-known database. It's used by other companies. And if there's a match, and it's not likely, again, that there would be a match unless that the images match exactly, by the way. They have to match. It has to be the same image, even if it's modified, if it's made black and white, if it's cropped. This fingerprint technology can detect it. But if it's a picture, let's say there's a picture in the database, in the CSAM database of the Mona Lisa. There shouldn't be, there wouldn't be, but if there were, and there were a fingerprint for it, and then I took my own picture of the Mona Lisa, as many tourists do when they go to France, that would never be a match. It has to be the same image, not a picture of the same thing. So the chances of a false positive are pretty low. I understand why people are concerned. I really do. If you go to apple.com/child-safety, they have a technical summary of how they're doing it, if you feel fairly techie, but that in a nutshell is how it works. I'm sure Apple felt pressure to do this, not necessarily from the feds. there's a regular report on this, which comes out, which talks about the various tech companies and how many reports of CSAM, this child sexual abuse material, they've put out every year. And Apple was on the lowest part of that report. It was not, I think it was 265 incidents last year, because they really weren't doing anything. They weren't doing anything to detect this stuff. And I think that's the pressure. They don't want to be seen as a company that doesn't care about child pornography. And yet, Apple, sells themselves as the privacy company. They do everything they can to protect your privacy, even going so far as to say no to the FBI when they want phones to be unlocked. So they want to do something that they feel like will be a good compromise. And I think if you read the tech notes about this, if you really understand how it works, I think it'll satisfy you. Is it a slippery slope? Well, and as I mentioned this off the air to Tom, I guess if there were an agency called the National Center for Missing and Exploited Firearms, and they put out a database of pictures of firearms, and there were then this matching attempt by Apple to see if you had the same pictures of firearms, and the government then said, look, these people are interested in pictures of firearms, that might be a problem. That would be a problem. But that doesn't exist. Right now, the technology only is for child porn, period. And I think the minute anything else is created, that's maybe when we stand up and say, no, that's ridiculous. And Apple knows that. They sell iPhones on the premise that your privacy is protected. That's one of their main selling points. Somebody in the chat room says Apple's opening another door down the road of mass surveillance. I guess. I mean, honestly, I don't think that's an unreasonable point of view. I think the way Apple's implemented this, it's fine. If you're concerned that it's the beginning of the end, then maybe don't buy an iPhone. Is Google doing it with Android? Not to my knowledge, not yet, but I wouldn't, now there's peer pressure, if you will, on Google to do the same thing with Android. I wouldn't be surprised at all to hear Google doing the same thing. But if you think about it, honestly, whatever privacy protections we talk about, carrying a device in your pocket that has GPS, a microphone, a camera, and is always online is inherently problematic for privacy. Maybe if you really want to be private, you shouldn't be carrying a smartphone. I'm just saying. 8888 Ask Leo. It's absolutely a worthy topic of conversation. I think the problem is there are a number of people who are just privacy absolutists. They say nothing can happen. I don't want any company doing this because it's an invasion of my privacy, even if it's for a good reason. And so there is a group of people who are just privacy absolutists. That's it. I don't honestly think your privacy is being violated. This is happening on your phone. It's not being transmitted to Apple. Apple's not doing the math. Well, I guess they are in iCloud, I guess. Or maybe it's only us. No, I think they are doing it in iCloud, come to think of it. So, yeah, those are your pictures. Apple is running a program against your pictures that creates a fingerprint. If that's to you a privacy invasion, stop using iCloud. Absolutely. That's you're right, and I can understand that. I am not a privacy absolutist, but I understand how people feel. And I really think if you're still carrying a smartphone with you, you really might want to think about that, because these are not the best choices for privacy. Our show, then you're at a disadvantage, aren't you? You kind of need to be on the internet. You need to have a smartphone to work in this world, I think. This is the path down which you end up living in the woods. Did you, Laura, did you hear Samuel L. Jackson swear earlier? I hope not. I hope that didn't go out on the airwaves. Okay. Whew. That's a relief. But you got your finger on that big red button, right? So I've been playing with my Amazon Echo. Remember last week I turned on the male voice, and then I changed the wake word from, Alexa, I don't want to say that out loud, to Ziggy. I hope none of you are using Ziggy. But then they just said, oh, you can also have Melissa McCarthy on your thing. So I turned her on. That didn't come out right. I enabled her, and then I enabled Samuel L. Jackson. So now basically my Amazon Echo is like multiple personality disorder. I can say Samuel, Melissa, and Ziggy. Wow. And then depending on who I want to talk to, I just say, oh, that's weird. But what I didn't know, and I was just playing with it when we were coming back, what I didn't know is Samuel L. Jackson has a little penchant for profanity. So remind me not to talk to him during the radio show. Who gets fined? Here's a question for you, Professor Laura. Who gets fined if on my radio show with you on the board, Samuel L. Jackson coming out of my Amazon Echo swears? Whose fault is that?
I'm telling them it's you. All you.
You think I get fined? All right. I have a question for the FCC. I'm going to get a call from the boss. I know I am. Leo, take off Samuel L. Jackson. But, I don't think they warned me that there would be some profanity involved. I guess if you're a Samuel L. Jackson fan, you would know that, right? All I asked for was the weather, and he swore at me. 8888 asked Leo. Jose's on the line from Modesto, California. Don't swear at me, Jose. How you doing?
No, I won't.
I know you won't.
I have a question. I have a 4K HDR TV, and it comes with some apps, right? But the question is, when I use the apps, like for example YouTube, and I select a 4K HDR video,
yeah,
I can see that it's not running at 4K HDR. The question is, what's going on?
So you're watching YouTube, the YouTube that's built into your television, and the YouTube, I'm presuming that your TV's 4K, but also that the YouTube is 4K. That is not a given, by the way. The apps that they, remember when they make a smart TV, it's not as smart as an Apple TV or a Roku or the other internet-connected appliances, because it would add too much to the bill of goods, the cost of that TV. So TVs almost always have less of a processor, less memory, less storage. The apps are not kept as up to date, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things to understand with a smart TV is it's not quite as smart as, let's say, a Roku or an Apple TV or a Fire TV or one of the other external devices, a Chromecast. And so that's the first thing to check, is make sure your YouTube is capable of 4K. YouTube, I think, in the settings, should have the ability to display 4K. It's YouTube, not YouTube TV, right?
No, it's just YouTube. And I've noticed that when I go to select that 720, 1080 and everything, the highest is 1080.
Okay.
I'm able to.
So that's why. The app can't do more. Now, if you had an Apple TV or a 4K Apple TV or a 4K Roku, an external device that could do 4K, and the app on there would almost certainly have 4K, but probably because of the processing power in your TV, the YouTube app they've put on that TV is not 4K capable. Otherwise, you'd see it. You'd see as a choice 1080, and then you'd see 4K. And you probably have auto, and see what auto does, but I bet you it'll top out at 1080. I do know, and the reason I asked that, there's a difference in YouTube and YouTube TV. That's the service Google offers with the confusing name YouTube, that is really an over-the-top TV service that streams channels and so forth. And you can turn on 4K on that, but it's an additional $20 a month. I did it for the Olympics because there's a 30-day free trial. We'll see if I keep it. But that's pretty nice, if you want 4K. If you really want 4K on that 4K TV, maybe go out and get a Roku. I think those are the best. They're under $100 for the Roku Ultra, which is a 4K device. And it's absolutely better.
I do have Roku Ultra. And
perfect.
Yeah, I do.
And when you watch YouTube on that and you have the 4K choice, I bet you it'll be 4K.
Oh, yeah,
TV.
absolutely.
Yeah. So this is not unusual. This is one of the reasons I'm not a fan of smart TVs. In my opinion, there's one reason and one reason only smart TVs exist. They make money on them because when they put in the smarts to have Netflix and other stuff on there, they also put in the smarts to watch what you're watching and sell it back to the TV networks and advertisers. In fact, some smart TVs have cameras. They say, oh, yeah, now you can Skype on our TV. No one ever does that. The camera is also used to see if you're in the room. So they can tell advertisers, yeah, Jose was watching the Olympics, and guess what? He went to the bathroom during that popcorn ad, and, that's terrible. So I swear to God, this is the worst thing. I don't like smart TVs, and I don't even connect them to the internet for this reason, because I'm convinced, and no one has convinced me otherwise yet. I'm open. If Samsung wants to call and say, no, Leo, that's not why we put smarts in that TV. Market demand said we had to put smarts. Not too much smarts, just enough smarts so they can know what you're watching and sell it to marketers. So I don't, in fact, I don't connect smart TVs to the internet. Periodically, I will for updates, but I generally, our big TV in the living room, in fact, it's kind of annoying because every once in a while it says, I'm not connected. I know you're not. That's by design. I don't want you phoning home. Now, see, there's where I am a privacy absolutist, because we know, it's even if you read the fine print in your TV manual, there's a very long agreement. In there, it says, we will sell information about your viewing habits to marketers. And it's perfectly legal, and it's a great little revenue stream. I guess we should thank TV manufacturers for that, because TV prices have gotten pretty low. I'm convinced that's also one of the reasons prices are lower, because they can make money on you. Check, though. Somebody's telling me LG has opt-out features. Check for those opt-out features if you can. Yeah, you're worried about Apple spying on you. Oh, forget about it. All right, I'm going to turn. Let's see. Is Samuel always going to swear at me? Hey, Samuel, why do you swear so much?
I don't cuss so much. Who the fuck says I cuss so much? What the
Okay, I kind of didn't expect it to be that bad. Holy cow. Wow, I hope Laura had her finger on the button. Holy cow.
Great. I love him.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. We're talking high tech, you and me. Quick mention, our website, techguylabs.com. That's good to keep in mind. If you hear something on the show, and I'll say this all the time, I'll put a link in the show notes. That's where the show notes live. And that's free. There's no sign up. Just wander in. There's a good search there. But you can also go directly to this episode, 1817. No, we didn't start at 1,000. We started at 1. Yes, this is the 1817th Tech Guy episode. They're all on the website by number or by date. And then you can go into each episode, and it's all divided into hours 1, 2, and 3, and segments 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can go right to where I mentioned something, for instance. There'll be a link there. James DeRuvo's writing them down. And then, of course, after the fact, we put audio and video there, too. So if you call and you want to hear yourself on the radio, you don't have to do two things at once. You can just wait, and a couple of days later, it'll all be up there at techguylabs.com. No charge, no sign-up. It's free. Richard's on the line from Rancho Palos Verdes, California. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Leo. Why do you cuss so much?
That's not me. So I've been playing with the Samuel L. Jackson voice on my Amazon Echo, and I asked him that. You probably heard his answer.
I did.
It was quite profane. I was a little stunned.
So I have a couple of different things for you today.
Yes.
One of them is I guess the most important, really. My father is completely losing his vision. He's always been blind in one eye, but the second eye's gotten really bad. And his passion in life, he's 94, is to read the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, yeah.
And he got to the point where even with a 30-time magnifier, he couldn't read the actual paper. And he's been limited to the website, wallstreetjournal.com.
Because they can make that quite big, yeah.
I made it. Now, unfortunately, they started off bi-coastal for a while, and now that they're not in Monterey any longer, they're only in Virginia. So I can't get out there to help real quick. And I lost my ability to log into their system when they moved.
Right.
I used to use Windows desktop, whatever.
Yep.
He's on a Mac, but once again, I've got it as big as I can get, and he can't read it anymore. I'm going to be there for a week over Thanksgiving, and I want to go in there with the tools needed to find a way to get him a screen reader. Now,
I got a better idea, or at least an alternate idea. This is a complicated thing to add a screen reader. And by the way, he's going to have to learn how to use it, which may, in the long run, be counterproductive. But certainly you can do that. There's JAWS is the best known, and used to be JAWS was really expensive, and they've gone down to a $90 a year fee, which is nothing, I think. So you can install JAWS. That's the best in the biz. And you're going to have to explain to him how to use it because it's really designed for people with zero sight. So it is going to read the menus, it's going to read the window titles, it's everything gets read, and he may find that annoying in the long run.
I think he'll tolerate it if he can get what he wants. But
yeah.
We'll see.
Turn your radio down because I'm hearing the show coming back through me.
Stop.
You need to get Samuel in there because
I was going to do that. I know. What I did on the radio.
I love it that you listen to the show on your Amazon Echo, though. And I apologize if I have accidentally turned it off and on and off and on and off and on again.
No, I actually am watching I'm actually watching TWiT.
Oh, nice. Our stream is video as well. So, yeah, you can watch it on a show, an Echo show. Yeah, that's cool.
My son and his daughter are here, and they're listening to muted golf and a muted computer while I'm on a headset, so I put Alexa on for them.
Oh, that was very kind of you. So let me tell you a couple of other choices. First of all, the Journal does, and I think, look, my dad's 88. He just had glaucoma surgery. And I said, Dad, do you love audiobooks? He says, no, I like to read. He loves physical books and apparently can still read them, which is amazing. He is a voracious reader, has been my whole life, so it kind of blows me away. My mom, on the other hand, same age, can't read as well. I got her a Kindle, which has bigger text. It's kind of like your dad using the web, and she can read that just fine. But honestly, for me, even at my age, I like audiobooks. And I don't understand why my mom and dad won't listen more to audiobooks. There is an audio version of the Wall Street Journal. They have a podcast. It's not the whole thing, but he might prefer it. There's several different things. There's the most important stories. There's briefings. There's a bunch of Wall Street Journal podcasts. They're done by Gimlet and the Wall Street Journal. So those are all free. And then I'm going to tell you about an app that I use. I don't know if he uses a smartphone or an iPad, but if he does, there's an app called Audm, A-U-D-M, that has a variety of magazines on it that you can listen to, and including the New Yorker, the Atlantic, Wired magazine, Vanity Fair. It's a bunch of Condé Nast magazines. But
you said that'll work on an iPad because he doesn't have a smartphone and
works great on an iPad. So you get the London Review of Books, Rolling Stone, New York, the New York Review of Books, Wired, the New Yorker, a bunch of magazines. They're read by professionals, and it's every word, and you get one subscription, you get all of them. So I'm a huge fan of Audm, A-U-D-M, And I can't remember what the subscription is, but it's not hugely expensive. In the long run for you, because you can't be there to support him, that might be easier than a screen reader. But certainly nowadays I can recommend JAWS because it is very affordable. It didn't used to be very expensive.
Okay. And even if it were expensive, that wouldn't be a problem for them because it's important enough. But I think I'm going to plan on JAWS, and I'll look at the Automap. The reason I hesitate, he's not into audiobooks. And secondly, an iPad, even my mom's iPad will probably be a bit small for him to deal with.
Yeah. So then maybe you're just JAWS is the way. But remember, he's going to have to learn how to use it, and it's really a whole new operating system. It's, yes, it's Windows, but it's Windows like you have never experienced it. I mean, there's no, they describe everything that's on the screen, and I find that annoying. But he might not.
I'll give it a try and see what happens while I'm there.
You can. I think you can try it for free yourself just to see, what your training's going to have to be. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I had a couple other things. One of them, I think I'm going to call you back on a Sunday because it's much more photography related.
That's all right. I'm a photo buff too. No, it's not just Chris,
Well, I am a photographer.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not in the studios any longer. I used to be a tech guy. Now I'm just a photographer for a living. But astrophotography is my primary hobby outside of golf.
Love astrophotography. Yeah.
And I have I have a small computer. It's called an Eagle, made in Italy. It sits on top of my telescope, and it's my only Windows computer.
Nice. So it directs the telescope. It points it to the right part of the sky and keeps it there.
No, it's just a Windows computer with some other functions that help the system. In other words, it has power distribution is built into it, so it can power all of the different items through software. It's got USB hubs, etc. But what it's primarily doing is running other software, and most of the software we use in astrophotography is much better on a PC than a Mac.
Right.
Right. Now, my issue with it is simple. It's just I don't update it because its only connection to the world is Wi-Fi into my house so that I can remote it from the living room.
Okay, but you're not going on the internet with it?
Well, I am sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's the only... If you didn't go on the internet, you could use Windows 95. But...
Yeah, no, this is Windows Pro.
I understand, but I'm just saying security is only important if you're on the public internet. However, if you're on the Wi-Fi, it could be a gateway into your internet, into your local network. So I got to take a break. Hang on. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I think you're probably all right. You're only using it. What are you using Kodo on the internet for?
Literally to get updates for various software.
Of course.
And things like that.
So here's my recommendation. Disconnect it, turn off the Wi-Fi, except for those times you want to update. Then turn it on, update, then turn it off again.
Oh, well, I can't do that because I actually run the telescope from the living room using Windows Remote Desktop. So it has to be connected to me.
In which case, it is on the internet because unless you've taken steps to prevent it from accessing the public internet, if it's on your Wi-Fi, anything on that computer can say, let me just go on the internet, and you wouldn't know.
Right. Okay, my only issue is more often than not, I turn it off during the day because it gets hot here.
Good.
And
good. When it's not online, it's safe. The minute you turn it online,
it also doesn't update because of that, because it's been set to only update during daylight hours.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is do an update in the middle of a capture. And most of my images that I capture have anywhere from 50 to 60 hours worth of data.
Wow. Oh man.
So it'll take.
Now, are you able to sell those? Is that how you make a living?
No, I haven't done that yet. I'm getting ready to, but I need to do some metal prints and acrylic prints.
Oh, nice.
Which is the way to go.
Sure.
But for me to do a test print is going to be, $500 to $1,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of pixels.
Find out if it's going to be good enough to work.
Yeah, it's a ton of pixels. So what are you asking? How to keep that safe online, or?
Yeah, I guess I just need to manually update it, is what you're saying.
I would. Windows 10 Pro? Is it Windows 10?
Yes.
Yeah, you will have to, because Microsoft, they only really give you 2 years of, I'm not going to ever update, and they're going to say, you're going to update.
I just realized something. I'm telling you the wrong thing. It's Enterprise.
Windows 10 Enterprise.
And yeah.
That's a little more flexible, obviously, because businesses often, are you paying an enterprise license?
They do that when you sell you the computer. The computer
that's cool.
With Enterprise.
Oh, they have so that company the Eagle has an enterprise license, and you're considered a seat. Yep. So if that's the case, they certainly can turn off updates. They don't have, that's a very different world that you're operating in. Okay, cool. It doesn't mean you're more secure. It's just that
I just mean I have to do it manually.
Yeah, in business,
once a month I should go and take a day and just
IT guys don't want these things to update automatically. They want to be in control of all that. So they allow you to defer all that stuff.
By the way, one of these days I'll put together my Astro pictures on my website.
Love to see that.
You're going to laugh at the name of my website. I'll do it off the air so nobody has to deal with it. But it's negative dash altitude.
I love it. I love it. I want to get you hooked up with Ant Pruitt, our photo guy, because he's very interested and has done is starting to do a lot of that. And I would love to get a pro on to talk about it. So I'll hook you up with him. If you send me an email, leo@leoville.com, and I'll connect you to.
You got it. The main other thing I was going to ask you about, and you might want to do this one online, I don't know, is I'm getting ready to cut the cord, and I'm scared.
I would love to, except I have to do the GizWiz next. I am on Richard Horn Photography right now. Love your images. I definitely want to connect, and I would love to see the astrophotography as well. That's really great.
Cool. What was the email again?
Leo@Leoville.
Leoville.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'll connect you with Ant, because I bet you Ant would love to talk to you about astrophotography. That's cool. Thank you, Richard.
Awesome.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, you can tell by the way he wears his shirts. He's a disco guy and a GizWiz too. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the man, Disco Dickie D. Wow, that's about all I can do in falsetto for the next year.
I can tell by the sound of your voice that your shorts are too tight.
So the disco is a sign. The Dick DeBartolo, I'm coughing now. The Dick DeBartolo is here, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. He's a disco fan, but he's also a gizmo wizard. We call him our GizWiz. Hi, Dickie D.
Leo, how are you, pal?
I'm great. How are you?
I am good, too. And I am so glad that you are the tech guy, Leo, because you will understand the technology involved in today's
What
gadget.
the heck is that, Dick? That's scary looking. I don't think you can show that on the radio. Leo, is it an elephant's trunk? What is that?
No, it is the personal cooling and heating system.
Is it blowing at you?
No. But this is the technology involved, okay? You start with a tray of ice cubes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you throw 2 cups of ice cubes in the
thing, which is like a plastic jar. Okay.
Oh no, it's a thermal aluminum case.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Okay. And then you turn on an inefficient fan.
Yeah.
That
blows cool air out of there.
Cool air toward you.
Yeah.
But cannot move a napkin, I found out.
So blow is a strong word. Waft.
Yes.
It wafts cool air towards you.
Not even that.
Not even wafting?
It wishes it could. Now, the amazing thing, Leo, is I saw this at a trade show, and I said to the guy, how much is it? And he said, and I said, oh, $30, that's okay. And he said, sir, this is $130. So I Googled today. I found
you could make that with some duct tape and
Leo, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I found it for $120. I also found it at a
suckers.
closeout.
It's for suckers.
I found it at a closeout place where I bought it for $35.
It's still overpriced.
Oh, my gosh. And there's a different version now. It seems to be a different company. It looks exactly the same. It's called version 3.0.
Oh, New and improved.
Now,
yeah.
They're a little more honest. They say, put in 2 cups of ice.
Yeah.
Aim it at yourself.
Yeah.
And it'll drop the temperature by 20 degrees for approximately 20 minutes.
Yeah.
At which point the unit will automatically shut off since it's no longer cooling. So that is $50. And would you like to know how it makes heat?
It'll heat and cool?
It's a heat. It's multi-purpose.
Oh.
I was thinking, how do you do heat?
Does it blow hot air? Do you put hot water in it?
No, you throw in 4 hand warmers. It says throw in 4 hand warmers 30 minutes before you want heat. And is this
got to be a better way to do that? It seems. Wouldn't you just take the hand warmers and use them instead?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm just checking. Listen to it. Listen to it. Yeah. It sounds like you're cleaning your drains or something.
If I could reverse the hose, I would use it as a vacuum, but there's not enough suction either way. You know what? It's very funny, Leo.
People see this on Amazon. They go, that seems like a good idea. They buy it, and then they go, wait a minute. This is just a jug with a rubber hose attached.
Yes.
And a very noisy fan.
The fan hits the foam.
Oh, it's actually hitting it. I hear that. Well, that's not good. That's a recipe for disaster.
You know what? I made a mistake. Maybe this is a blender.
If you wanted this, or at least want to read all about it, you could go to Dick's website, gizwiz.biz, the personal cooling and heating system. Oh, man. Is this on Amazon? Where can you buy this?
You can get the one that I have at a place called Until Gone. They have it for $35.
Oh, good.
At 3 Experts, they're still selling it for $120.
What's 3 Experts? I never heard of that.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
When I searched for heating and cooling system, they came up.
Yeah, we're experts in making suckers out of you. $120 for that. It can't be more than $3 or $4 worth of vinyl. And
no, it's the only other thing that we made fun of.
Yeah.
And I checked today; they're still in business. Leo, 15 years ago, and I told you about it, and you laughed.
Wait a minute! You told me about this 15 years ago?
No. Oh. This gadget, cruising cooler.
Oh yeah, you ride on a cooler. You can drive it.
A cooler you can drive.
Yeah.
They're still in business.
Well,
15 years later.
What was that P.T. Barnum said? Get that elephant out of here. He's making a mess. I don't remember. But anyway, I think this is clearly designed for the sucker in all of us.
Yeah.
Don't fall for this.
It is a loser.
But you can see it if you want and laugh. I have to say, the hose is not as protuberant in your picture as it really looks. There is a video.
Oh,
Dick has made a video. If you oh my God! It's extending. It gets longer.
Yeah, it comes with 2 Viagra pills.
It comes with an extensive
that you throw into the ice.
Oh my God!
You can cool around corners.
Put it in your ear. See if your thoughts get cool. Here's the deal. If you go to gizwiz.biz, gizwiz.biz, there's a big blue button that says the GizWiz visits the tech guy. You could see Dick's video there. You could see the link if you really want to get it. Yeah, I wonder how many people will click on the $120 version when right below it there's the $30 version. I don't know. Did you get the $30 version or you just saw it?
I did. No, I bought it.
See what he does for us kids? This is the research, the level of research Dick will do.
That's right.
While you're there, you could play the What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to identify a close-up picture of some sort of gadget. There are Mad magazines autographed by Dick for the best guess that's wrong and, of course, for the right answer. And there's lots of other great stuff at his website, gizwiz.biz. You can also find his fabulous podcast at gizwiz.tv, where Not just one object like this, but many are featured.
Many.
Did this make it onto the Gizwiz podcast?
Yes, it's a world of stuff you may want and some you stay away from.
Sometimes Dick brings us stuff that's useful and I buy. Sometimes he brings us stuff that's useless and I laugh at. Sometimes he brings us stuff that's useless and I buy it, but let's not talk about those times. Thank you, Dickie D.
At least it does deduct it from my paycheck.
Yeah, she oughta.
Don't ever tell Leah.
Yeah, you bought this. Lisa. She's good. That's one of the things. She's very good with the numbers, if you know what I mean.
Very good.
Thanks, Dickie D.
Okay, pal.
All right.
Take care.
Hey,
Bye.
have a great week. We'll see you next week on the Tech Guy Show. Every week, something different from Dickie D. Thank you, Professor Laura, our musical director, to Kim Schaffer, our phone angel. Thanks to you for joining me. I am Leo Laporte, your tech guy. Have a safe Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.